on. It's on, man. It's on like Donkey Kong. Sweet. I was thinking on the way over here, I was like, how long of silence? Like, I know people have short attention spans, right? Mm-hmm. I know that people like, you get on some sort of content and then you're like, I'm moving on, I'm bored. But I wonder what their tolerance of silence is like. Do people tolerate silence, like anticipation, more than they tolerate like bad content? Like, I'm bored, this is boring, I don't like this. Or it's like the silence. We just sat here in silence.
Like, what's worse?
Yeah, like what do people tolerate more? Do people have like, it's like 7 seconds, so it's gotta be like right now, people like, I don't know when we're starting this, I'll just say.
I think silence is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You agree? You're like, I do. I think you can probably get more out of silence. People staying longer out of silence, out of anticipation, than saying, I don't like this.
Yeah.
They're quicker to judge when you speak.
the Joe Rogan and Post Malone interview, he went to the bathroom, and I think Jamie was supposed to like cut it, but they left the whole like.
It was like 3 minutes.
Did you?
It felt like 3 minutes.
Too?
Yeah, I was listening to it yesterday.
Yeah,
that's what made me think of it.
Oh, that's kind of cool. And I was sitting there in my garage. I was like, what if I was just doing what I'm doing? And I'm like, what if this is what they always did? Because I kind of liked it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you could skip it, but it's like he's going to the bathroom. I mean, it's kind of weird because you like can, like, if you take a shit or something, like you know how long you took. But in my head, I was like, yeah, I can do with this. I kind of felt like I was like, because you could hear like Joe talking to Jamie, and I kind of felt like I was like on the inside of shit.
Yeah. It was
even though he talks for 3 hours.
Yeah, that's what honestly, that's what made me think of it. Because it's
really?
Like, yeah, because you're like, I think I've been trying to, as I do my own podcast, and I'm trying to break down like what's my style of podcast, what do I like from other people, but maybe I can just like it and not actually have to adopt it. Mm-hmm. And also looking at like, okay, well, what about his podcast makes him so popular? How does that fit within who I am? And I think one of the things that just popular from him is that it's just, there's no huge secret to the, like, that's the back end. Oh, you gotta go pee. Like, that's like most people would be like, oh, you gotta cut that out, it's so unprofessional. And like, but he's just like, no, people pee, man. Like, it's no big deal.
I mean, I do feel like they probably will cut it out and re-upload it, I think, but
I don't know. Did you listen to on YouTube or?
I listened on iTunes.
Me too. So
okay,
I think they'll re-upload and cut it, but they might.
I think you can re-upload, but I don't know if you can or not. I think you can, but maybe they won't.
I feel like I can. I've uploaded a few.
Really? Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I've heard ads, like they'll like insert ads into an episode, and I think that's a re-upload that they do. I don't know. Anyways.
Hey, man.
Yeah. Hey.
Thanks for having me at your place. I feel like I'm on your podcast because I'm on your couch. I'm drinking your coffee, using your tripod, your charger, your electricity.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you.
I mean, I can't
like
say
it.
that because
it's okay.
You're here.
No, I'm here with you. Let's do it.
I screwed up last time because we tried to do this before and I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode and we got 2 minutes in and we scrapped everything, but like.
And we had a fun hang.
And it was great, and I think it was a good time. And I'm jealous that this is your house because it's so awesome. Like, we just got done playing on all these instruments. Like, the people who are listening to this have no idea, or watching this, no idea what's behind the camera. And it's just so awesome. Like, it's...
Follow me on Instagram.
Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. You got all this stuff. Like, I don't just reach out to people and say, hey, man, I like your stuff. I say that because I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this is really cool. Like, I used to be jealous. Like, oh, man, I want to be like Isaac. I want to be that. Like, I want that coolness. I want people to think, but like, at the time, it's like, he's, like, it's just his thing, and I can just enjoy it. Like, I don't know when that turn happened. It's been recent, but it's been there. So, what I'm saying in a nutshell is that I'm happy to be here with you and doing this for the second time.
I'm glad that you enjoyed watching me play synthesizers. It's kind of like a nerdy thing to some people. I just made a status about it yesterday, I think. But like, I grew up. We had this like PC down in our basement, and all of the games on it were just like old like educational games. There was a game called like Math Rescue, and there was another game by the same company, and it was like Word Rescue. And Word Rescue had this really like bluesy soundtrack. I don't know if you like how much like did you play like video games? Not like video games, but did you play like computer games as a kid? And like,
I didn't play computer games. My first, because I had an older brother who was 10 years older, and so the video games that he played was Nintendo and Sega. So it was consoles, not computer.
Right. Because computer games, I feel like are a different brand, because they're like, or maybe the stuff I played was a lot of like educational shit.
Yeah.
I think so. Anyways, like just game soundtracks, especially like in the '90s. I feel like we're just everywhere in between, because you have some guy on his computer like putting MIDI notes and like making this really digital song, like song, but it's like a blues song, but it's like a bunch of like 8-bit sounds. So it's just like this really weird hybrid of like a guy really trying to make a song sound real, but he can't because he's like limited with all this stuff. So like video game music, especially like that like weird 90s hybrid stuff where like everything sounded like so.
Dude, you were blowing my mind. But before this, you were blowing my mind. You were on there, and I had the vision of like arcade games. Like I can imagine somebody like legit like giant console arcade games. Like you were playing some of that. Like it seemed like, I don't know my video games well enough, but it seemed like Galaga music. Like and like so I'm like, were they playing with synthesizers to make a lot of those video game sounds?
Yeah, well, I don't want to go on record and say like because I'm not an expert with like the synthesizers, but in general, like the sound with like I'll hear a sound, make a sound, I'm like, oh, I recognize that from a game I played. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, like the really old games in the 70s and 80s were like based on synthesizers, and the sound effects especially were just like square waves and sine waves, yeah, like just really simple stuff. And then, I mean, the guys that were making stuff in the 90s and like composing songs on the computer were just like entering MIDI notes and trying to make it sound as real as possible. But not a lot of the, like, if you look, like Sonic the Hedgehog has some crazy music. Like on Sega, did you play that?
I loved Sonic.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember the music.
to like Green Hill Zone and like the underwater one. Like they had these crazy like synth solos and like all this like really jazzy, like jazz fusion type of like instrumentation going on, but he's just programming it all in on a computer. He's not playing it. For the most part, like you could hear if someone's playing something. Like it's a little bit off, it's a little more real, but like a lot of the guys are just, they have like a computer and they have their programs that they're entering the notes in, and they're like, I want this to do this. Which you can still do now, like with stuff like, I mean, that's how a lot of like EDM producers make their music. But anyways, going back to that, this tower, this PC computer I had, it had this little tiny speaker, and it could only push out like 8-bit or like a certain range of like tone and sound. So everything was just like, had this really like, I don't know, it just had this really crunchy sound to it, and it all kind of like sounded, it just, I don't know, it was just this sound, and it was like coming out of this little speaker, so all the game music was coming out of this. And so like I feel like that influences me now, and I'll make sounds like, oh, and I'll send it to my brothers, and I'll be like, this is from this game, do you remember this? This is like how when the Ninja Turtles die, this is the sound it makes.
And you do it.
And I do it.
I know that sound. I know that one.
Yeah, well, which one?
The one you just did, the Ninja Turtle sound. It was like, whatever you just did. That's why I got so excited.
Like, which Ninja Turtle?
Well, it would have been, I mean, I guess I played that at the skating rink. I played at the skating rink on the actual, like, big game
where
console,
you're walking down.
But I did play it on, like, Sega, maybe my computer at one point.
Yeah, they had.
Maybe I rented it from, like, the library, because we used to rent video games from the library.
Okay. I don't know if they made it. But yeah, like, it's the arcade Ninja Turtles where they're walking on the street.
Game Boy. I had a Game Boy where I played.
Yeah, I was probably on that too. Yeah.
But that was that sound. That's why I got so.
Yeah, well, there's it's it's actually that LFO when I turned it up. You know how it made that really like, it was like and it almost created its own note and tone. Do you remember when we were doing that?
I mean,
Really?
I don't know if you saw my face, but my face was melted. Like I was telling you, like I feel like I feel like I'm in some sort of high. Like this is a whole different type of like I have no idea of this world. Like what is going on? What are the sounds you're making? What is this thing? I was just like my mind was being blown, dude.
No, it's fun. I mean, it's basically like I don't know how to say it, but it was a certain sound, but I know what it is now, and I had to learn that. But like when you listen to that at first, you're just like it sounds like something exploding. It was like
it was
and
morphing.
It sounds like but it is. It's literally a waveform. It's being run over and over again at a certain length, and it's being squished, and then it's being brought out, and it sounds like an explosion, but it's a waveform going up and down at a certain length, and then slowly they're putting it closer together, so it's going and it opens up else. And if you put a distortion on it and you there's a lot. It's just fun to talk about.
It is fun. It almost seems like it's like a rocket getting out of the atmosphere. Like it's like getting to this point, it's like friction, and then you get into a new level, and then it's like it's the same rocket, but it's different, and it's got different. You have to have different mechanics at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like I felt when you were doing that and even explaining that, like I feel like I'm a kindergartner who's supposed to be learning simple arithmetic and simple math, but yet you got some physics professors coming in and trying to explain quantum theory to me all at the same time. It's like I don't even know what 2 + 2 is. I don't even know what 2 is yet, and I'm trying to figure out what this damn synthesizer is. It's like so. Like, you didn't start there. You didn't start like I don't know.
And I don't know anything about like electronics.
You're just getting into
like scientifically or like from an engineering standpoint.
Sure.
My dad's electrical engineer. He'll explain to me like why all that stuff happening. I just pick up what I can, and I just want to be able to create with it.
Yeah,
that's all that matters to me. Like, I just want to be able to create new things. I'm not trying to like change the world and like make new electronics or anything. I'm just trying to make music out of electronics.
Oh yeah, it's got its own world. I was kind of like I like this is like a lot of information. So for you, like you didn't start having this basis. We actually kind of talked about it before we hopped on the podcast. Was like, hey, how many hours have you already put on this? Not to say, oh, that's awesome, but it's like you have to put in the time.
Yeah.
You said what did you say? You said
I think I probably put 20 hours into the synthesizer since I got it on Monday.
But even then, like total hours
of
music to build up to the point is like, because I'm getting over there with like 11 hours of music
on your belt.
You know, I played your triangle for a second. That goes in. I played the recorder growing up. What else? I mean, and I like baiting on things and banging on things, but I've never really dug too deep into the guitar. I've taken a few lessons and stuff like that. But like over time, I feel like what did you say? You said you have to kind of understand the rules or understand it in order to then create from it.
Yeah. And if you understand a ton, sometimes it's like too much. But I'll explain that. So, I mean, when I like get a new synthesizer, it's basically like a new instrument for me. Like if you get a guitar, like you know like what the knobs on it do, you know what the tone knobs on it, you know like how to make this certain sound on it. And when you get you have a 6-string guitar, but then you get like a 7-string guitar, you got to figure out how to like implement that new note that you have. And I'm not going to get into that because I don't actually understand how you do that because I don't play guitar. But I know that like you have on a guitar you have 6 different notes at the chord. If you just play them without any muting or anything on the neck, you have 6 different notes. And there's, I mean, if you're looking at a scale, there's how many notes are there in a scale? I think it's like 12. You go to the top, so I think there's 11 notes in all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my god. Yeah, musicians are like, this guy's
dude.
Wait, I'm just
so
second guessing myself. Second. Nut shot.
Dude,
Yeah, so there's 12.
12.
But I mean, another like there's other like there's other like music theories like in the past, like people had like there's I forget what you call it, but there's like 13 or like they find out like, because I mean that's just a tone and it's equally distant. Each one is equally distant.
Is that the
from
do
each
re
other.
mi?
Yeah, so it's do re mi fa sol la ti do.
That's only
No, well, do no no no. Okay, so you have a. Oh my god.
Bro, I know,
Okay,
I know you're going to go teach at Harvard music
I
theory.
really don't want to do music theory because I'm learning it. Anyways. Gosh.
You're fine.
Yes, yeah, anyways.
Teaching me, I have no ideas. And it's so expansive. Dude, there's no way you can know everything. Like,
no.
But you have skills that transfer, right? Like when you do know how to play a certain instrument and you become really intimate with it,
mm-hmm.
you start to like find ways quicker to be intimate with other instruments.
Yeah.
Intimate meaning like you're not like, intimate meaning you're actually like creating some sort of music, and that translates to other things. But like, I get where you're coming from, and kind of like a little bit of like frustration because like I don't know all this stuff. Oh no, I expect it. Like I felt that way in probably when I was back in my mid-20s when I was running the CrossFit gym. Was like, I'm the owner of this CrossFit gym. I'm supposed to be the expert in CrossFit, and if I'm the expert in CrossFit, that means I have to be the expert in fitness, which is health and nutrition and supplements and yoga and anatomy. And it's like, that's bogus. Like I'm not any of those things. I didn't spend time. That wasn't my approach, and that's not how I ended up there. I ended up there by going through this process, and I don't think that for a moment I felt like if I didn't know those other areas, then that took away my credibility of knowing what I did know. But it just was like, I wonder if I would have been as good. And obviously I'm saying that I was good at CrossFit coaching, but I'm taking away my entry point of it and my perspective of it if I feel like that was the only way. Maybe I wouldn't have been as good if I went the other route, like, and studying all the like had you studied music theory, you kind of alluded to it before, it's like if you get too sciencey about it or you get too wrapped up into it, you start to lose the rebellious side, the creativity side. That kind of stems a lot of it, which so what I'm saying, man, I don't expect you to know all of it.
Oh sure.
And this is me. Like you have a lot more information than I do because one, you just spend more time here. Like I think about that all the time. Like we put people on a pedestal who do things, but the reality is like they just spend a lot of time doing it. And I think there's a lot of credibility in knowing what somebody else put a lot of time into something. Like I've kind of put my ego aside and saying, okay, if even if I have this thought of how music works in my mind because I took a class in college at a university, like you've been putting hours, like hundreds, thousands of hours into this. You're gonna know the nuances that I have no idea about. So implementing and being in it, like there's stuff that you know because you wake up to, you have this shit in your house. like you're gonna learn things that I have no idea about that. And then somebody else who didn't grow up with that and came for a more, I don't know, like traditional school system through the music is going to have a different approach to all of it too. So it's just your approach. All I want to know is your approach. I don't have a Jamie from. I don't have a Jamie fact checking us. Too bad. If you're Jamie and you want to be on the show, just hit us up.
He could use you. Yeah,
we could. Volunteer pay.
No, I think the reason I got frustrated is because I wanna like not teach, but I wanna share with you what I'm learning. And that's the funny part, is like with your CrossFit gym, you were probably getting into stuff that you didn't fully understand because you were into it.
That's it.
And like that, I'm not really gonna be interested in talking to you about music production, because I've been doing it for 10 years and it just doesn't seem interesting to me anymore. Like I could do it in my sleep, but like I'm right now waking up in the morning and working on music theory. And so it's interesting to me that like a guitar could have like 6 notes and then they add a third one in. Like how do they figure out how to write their music in that? And so that's kind of why I'm walking through that, and I'm like trying to act like I should be able to teach you that, but I'm just walking you through like what I'm learning, which is, I don't know, I think that's just like what I'm constantly doing, and what a lot of creative people are constantly over their head because we're into something. We're still learning.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
So I follow a guy, he's Jim Quick. So he's one of the podcasts that I go through. It's like 20, 30 minutes. And I think I told you about him a little bit before. His whole thing is like meta learning. It's like how do you learn how to learn? And one of the things that he kind of talks about is sharing what you learn actually forces your brain to find new ways to create those connections in your brain. What do you have in there, man?
Little fly.
It's protein.
Hey, buddy.
It's protein.
Just, yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I was like, I want to make sure that whenever I'm like pulling it out of my mouth gets explained here. Go ahead. What? Oh. Yep.
No. So he talks about sharing it. And so I think, because I'm a little quick to jump the gun. I'm like, I learned something, I want to tell someone because I'm excited about it. I'm in it. And I feel like sometimes you don't fully form like articulated sentences about what you're trying to say because you're also still trying to share it and understand it at the same time. And so like you're in it. So I feel I feel like I like that because you come at it from a childlike state too. And like children they learn really fast. And then when they learn something, they're really excited to tell you what they learned. And I don't think that's changed as an adult. So, like, I do see the people who, like, get really deep into it and they have to know everything they're talking about it. But neither of us are, like, held to that degree of, like, I'm a scientist, right? It's like, I'm this. But I think it's interesting because I was a mutual friend of ours, Craig. We were out on a hike one time talking about, it's like, he and I hadn't seen each other in probably over a year and had any conversations. Even though we're kind of new friends, we've hung out quite a bit, and then we took a year. I just kind of buried myself into what I was doing, and life happens. Anyways, we got back together, and when we got back together, we had so many stories and things that we learned along the way that we wanted to share. So it was almost like going trick-or-treating around the neighborhood, but instead of us going together and like going to the same houses, like I went to a different neighborhood and got as much candy as I possibly could, and he went over here, and then we kind of like came in the middle and like dumped our sheets of our pillowcases full of information and candy that we learned up on the bed, and like we kind of like pulled it out and shared, and like that's how I kind of felt like when we kind of went away. And so I'm always interested in learning like what you're excited about, and I'm noticing that as I'm trying to, you know, over the last 2-3 years or longer, trying to not necessarily hire people but partner people to work with. And it's like what I'm finding out is like when you can find somebody who's passionate about it, even if it's a short period of time that they're passionate about it, like what are they doing with their free time is like what I'm interested in about that person. So like one of the things that's so fascinating about me is one, who you are, right? You get like, not everyone gets obsessed. Like some people are very cool with not learning, not growing, and I don't have any qualms with that. But for me, I like to be around people who are crazy like me in the sense that they get obsessed with things, and they kind of jump into the fire. They don't know everything, but they're willing to kind of find out, you know, whether it be the easy way or the hard way. And like, so that's what I like about you, is that then you're doing it in a new neighborhood. You're doing it in something that's interesting to me. I like music. I listen to music. I'm fascinated by it. And so that's why I like, tell me what you're excited about, because that's where you're like finding the little nitty-gritty details that I have, that like most common people, laymen, just like go right over.
Right. Yeah. I want to stress that there's nothing wrong with that too, because you said that, but like not that like society needs certain things to exist, but just I think there's so much value in just people consuming stuff and like doing their own thing. Like, because I mean, there's things that I don't understand about people that aren't like always trying to obsess over creating things, and they do other things that they aren't even coming to mind right now. But they're definitely doing more than I'm doing as far as like pushing society. But you were talking about something else, but I agree with you, by the way, about
thank you.
The like just grabbing what people are interested in. But when you're talking about Craig, I think it's interesting because as I'm getting older, there's friends like that I don't see for like a year. Like me and you, I don't know when last time we hung out before this. We obviously play basketball. But before that, we probably hadn't seen each other since Lagoda, just like seeing each other around Dayton. But like, it is like that. And honestly, like, I don't really have time to do it.
Right.
But like, as long as it's not personal when I see you again, like, I love to like dump all my candy out. Like, I love doing that. Cause like, honestly, a year is like pretty perfect.
I was gonna say a year is a good time. There's a chunk of nuggets there.
And it's like, as we get older, like you're the same person pretty much. Like, you have the same heart, you have the same intention. You're learning new things. You're becoming a new person, but like, you don't have to worry that person's like not gonna like you anymore, or like you're not gonna be friends. You know what I'm saying?
There's this feeling like in high school, like if you don't talk every day to your girlfriend or to your friends, and obviously we can get into your background a little different being homeschooled, right? Like, but like that's how I felt, is like, I gotta talk to these people, or we're losing friends, and you'd hear like high school gossip, especially around girls, was like, I don't think she likes me, or she doesn't like me, she doesn't talk to me in like a week, and it's like. And you kind of at this, like in the mid-20s, I guess, in this culture, is like you start to get away from like, oh, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like I've gotten to the point now, what I think you're talking about is like, a year's pretty good. So we probably met 2-3 years ago at the coffee shop, and I think really the last time I came over, which was last week, was a time where we probably really had any type of extended conversation. Right. That wasn't interrupted at a coffee shop for 10-15 minutes or anything like that. I know we've had some, maybe this half hour, but it was definitely interrupted and a lot of stimulus going on, right? So, but I do think one of the things, you can learn a lot from people on social media. And like one of the things that I've admired by you, I talked about, is not that growth, but like the way that you take time to do you. Mm-hmm. Like that, like there's a certain level of like, not giving a shit what other people think, and like being who you are, like just as I'm looking at you now, you got a mustache, right? And when I first met you, I think you had a mustache last time for this too.
Yeah.
But like the piercings you have and stuff like that, like I grew up where I was like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put myself in situations where I could be potentially like damage, like there's something about people like you, an example that give me, by just being yourself and putting yourself out on social media, give me the courage, I guess, which sounds such, I sound so fragile right now.
No, I get it.
But you being you creates space for me to do the same too, because then from on a social media platform, you actually get to see somebody like yourself who's creative. Yeah, there are people who hate that and say shitty things, but for the most part, you can, like, in the smaller community aspect, you can see how people give you love. Like, I've seen, not just on social media, I know you on social media, and I know you in person, or I've obviously been around you in person. We don't know everything. But, like, you see how people, like, they're like, yeah, I like that guy. Mm-hmm. And so that has kind of broken down some walls for me, and saying, like, oh, like, I can be the person I want to be. And even on my podcast, from the first episode of what the idea of the podcast was going to be, how the structure was going to be, like, I can't be at Isaac's house with this lighting or this sound, or like I always put this shit in my head. And so like you are a type of person that, is a catalyst for like being unique and different and creative. And so I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if people, that people did that, or if people told you that, but I don't even know what the fucking point is of me saying all that.
Thank you for blessing me with that. No, that's really nice. I mean, it definitely has its downsides, because like you get creative with the way that you want to arrange your kitchen, and then you just have like grease all over everything because you just leave everything out in the open, or you I mean, being chaotic, it's also, you could describe it as being chaotic too. But yeah,
and maybe that's the thing. It's like, you
my girlfriend will definitely say like it has its downsides. Like if you think outside the box with everything, then some things might not be done very well. But
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. But I think there's a level of like, I was thinking about this the other. I went on a hike this morning before I came over here. You all right there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Show sponsored by
Yeah.
Belvie.
You had to read it
I'm
again.
gonna get sued by
Not
all
a very
these.
memorable name.
No.
Woo! All right,
Alright.
go ahead.
No, I was on a hike this morning, and I was. There's so much to learn from other people.
Yeah.
That living in complete chaos all the time is chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It's chaotic. Like we were talking about the shelves that you're building. Like I love how you've created this structure that then allows you to be free range and like be creative. So like how those things, I know I've kind of jumped ship there with my story, but it's like, no, I think you asking your girlfriend, like, like there are some things like you need some stability. Like, trust me, man, I hear that from the relationship that I was in. It was like, like, no, there needs to be some structure and stability.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily like I live in a chaotic world.
Mm-hmm.
I live in a world of chaos. I find that I thrive there. Like you mentioned basketball. Like nothing gets me more excited than a game that is like you have to focus. Like there's nothing else to do. Like it's game time. I'm down 3. I'm down in a, down three scores, and like I thrive. Like I don't know if I even try to put. I guess maybe subconsciously I put myself in positions like that. Where I have to then be chaotic. But to your point, man, like. But there's a lot of people who like for those inner. The reason I brought that up actually was for those inner people who don't actually express that, but need to. And we've talked about this before, and we'll probably get into it now. It's like for the people like me who have suppressed that chaotic side, or who have suppressed that authentic side, creative side, right? Like I'm not doing that. You're the type of guy who, like I said, can be a catalyst for that and pull that out. And that's where that's I think a real big strength of that. Yeah, I think if somebody like my brother who's very engineering and structured and needs that, like then you in return can learn that from him as like how he might systematize some stuff. So I don't know, man. I think I miss basketball, by the way, not to jump ships, but this quarantine corona, it's what is it? It's almost August and it's been 6 months, 5 months. It's been a while, man.
We watched the Michael Jordan documentary this week. And I love that my girlfriend watched the whole thing with me too, because and sorry to go. You were talking about the hike. I just want to make sure was there something you want to talk about the hike? You were just saying you like spending time with people.
I mean, I'm not in any rush. I'm just in.
You were just saying you just learn things from different people. And
stuff. I mean, I don't know that I had a complete thought.
The Jordan documentary. She was like, I was like, you like watching this? Because we watched like 2 episodes, and I was like, yeah, well. So I have this rule where I don't have Netflix here, and I only watch Netflix with her. So like, I don't watch it by myself, because then I'll just be like watching shows without her that like we might have watched together, or like just wasting time. So like my relaxation time is mostly with her, just so that like she gets time with me. Because if I'm by myself. I relax by myself sometimes, but like for the most part, like I don't get a lot of time to relax. So if I didn't like spend like engineer that time to be with her, then like I probably wouldn't see her as much. But anyways,
that's very interesting.
Yeah, she was like, she doesn't really know that much about basketball, and she doesn't really like watching like playoff games with me. But she was like, yeah, I love Michael Jordan. And like it just shows like that he's just like such a polarizing figure that she's like I love him, and she's like all the video footage and all the all the 90s stuff just makes me have good feelings about my childhood, because like just like their outfits and like all that. I was like, that's so true. And so we watched the whole thing together, and she was totally into it. So I was like,
I love that.
That's awesome that like a documentary and like someone like Michael Jordan or like anything can like make a sport like interesting to someone that isn't really interested in basketball, but it made me miss basketball.
I mean, the thing, you're saying something there though, is like when you're that great at, like, people are attracted to something that's so like iconic. Like like somebody who doesn't like basketball at all, like can watch that and say like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Because of, I don't know why, but like it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. They didn't really get into like basketball like science a lot into it. So that is like they did a good job of like keeping it simple. So, but
I haven't watched it. I need to watch
oh yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
I think up to your point is like, relaxation to you is work, like to other people, like like
yeah,
because I walk
trying
in
to
here
have
like
a fun time.
I'm like I walk in here I'm like, do you sleep? Like
Yeah.
do you like how do you like even I came in here like a week ago or 2 weeks ago
Mhm.
and I'm like it's already way different here, like you're not even
Yeah.
building a house, like what's going on? It's like, but I feel like you, because you said this specifically, you said I need to carve out time with her for relaxation because otherwise my relaxation I don't have it. I don't take time for myself. So like
Yeah,
in order
yeah.
to actually have time with her, it's actually time of relaxation. Everything else outside of that is work and
yeah.
air quotes work to
Mhm.
create music, to build furniture, to I don't know, what else do you get into?
Yeah, I mean, I need that time. I mean, everyone needs that, and I get a lot of sleep, by the way, sometimes.
You do get a lot of sleep?
I do get like a full 9-10 hours, like
Oh my
a
god.
couple times a week.
Oh,
Yeah.
a couple times a week.
Yeah, so
That's
like
amazing.
I'll go like a 5-hour, 4-hour, 6-hour night half the time, and then I'll do like a 9-10 hour half the time. So like I have a drive to Georgia next week, and then I have a drive to Worcester, Ohio.
What are you doing in
this
Georgia?
weekend. I have weddings. So I have a wedding in Georgia, then I have a wedding in Worcester, Ohio this weekend. So like I'll be working for like
So you travel to do
Yeah.
weddings, like big
Yeah.
time travel?
no, this is the Georgia, I think is the furthest I'd travel. Yeah.
Do you like that?
I like that idea, yeah. Especially if I can get paid enough to like we're going down with I'm going down with like my girlfriend and then Taylor Collins. And she's doing the photography for the wedding, and it's just gonna be really fun because we booked an Airbnb and we're gonna be there for like 4 days.
That's awesome.
So like as long as I can get enough so that I'm not stressed about like I could rent a car or I could take my car, but like as long as I have enough to where like I can afford to rent a car and do the travel money and still make some money, then it's like this is awesome getting paid to travel. So like that's the idea for me. It's like
Yeah.
and I can and like you said, like I have a hard time not working. So if I feel like I have a purpose going somewhere, it feels a lot more like successful to me as a person. Like you're going on a business trip, but you're also like, I mean, DJing is basically
Isn't that weird?
fun.
Isn't that
so.
weird that we have to like, I feel like what you're touching on is like having the feeling of having to justify why we do something.
Yeah, but yeah.
Like, I get the stress of like saying like going and having the like making sure that your needs financially are met while going out and traveling. Like, but I think that's awesome. I think that it'd be sweet to do more of that, right?
Yeah.
You're already doing it anyways. You're traveling to Worcester and around the
Yeah.
area, but like, why not?
Yeah, it's just
Go
like
to
the difference between like you drive, like you say you fly to LA or something, you spend $600 versus like flying to LA for a wedding, you make $600 and all the cost is all the cost of travel is covered. It's just a lot more pleasing to me and settling. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's like leaving because you're already leaving the house that you pay rent at, and you're like, I overthink money in general. I'm just like, I don't want to waste this, and like, that's the reason I buy analog synths rather than like buy digital programs for the computer, is because it's just like I can resell this. This is something I can hold, but like throwing away money is always I'm extra. Like even like I'm 25 and I rent, and I'm like freaking out because I'm like I want to own a house and I want all my money to go somewhere and I want everything to be worth it. And so yeah, it does become a problem, but in general, like hopefully someday like I'll be relaxed enough to just drop a couple grand on like a overseas vacation or something. But to me, I would much rather get to the point where I could like do a wedding overseas, and then like I made it, I can go overseas now, or like music festivals, like dropping $400 for Bonnaroo or something. Like I did that 3 years ago, and when I was there, I was like, you know what? Next time I come here, I'm gonna get in free somehow. Like maybe I'm like the road manager for a band, maybe I'm doing photography, but like I'm too talented of a person to be among all these artists and have to pay to be here. because I could like, you know, I could be, rather than like consuming this, whatever, this huge festival where there's, you know, thousands of artists doing something, running lights, like I could be, you know, helping rather than just consuming. Because like I would enjoy it a lot more if I was like on stage running a, you know, a lighting controller or something. But I don't know.
No, that's interesting. Like I said, I was on a hike before I got here, and that was part of the conversation. It's like, you said the word consuming. It's like you could be consuming at the same time working. So in a sense, you're paying yourself by being there. You're getting paid to be there in a way, right? Even if you got paid $0 because you didn't have to pay $400, you could really say like, I got paid to be here. Mm-hmm. And I'm not constantly, but very frequently looking at, like, when I listen to a podcast or an audiobook, like, I'm not just there to consume. I'm looking at how I can scratch my own itch or what I can learn. So, for example, I alluded to this before, is like the Rogan podcast or the Jim Quick podcast or any other podcast that I listen to as I'm shouting them out. The million listeners, thank you, I love you all, is like, I'm not just listening to consume and be entertained. I'm also listening to be educated, and I consider it working. Like if I were you, it's like I'm watching this show up here and I'm loving it and I'm enjoying it and I'm enjoying the experience. But I'm looking, if I were you and I'm trying to create this world, is like I'm looking at what's their setup. What are they doing? What are they flowing between songs? How are they engaging the crowd? Like. And those are some aspects that are probably way off from what you look at. But like, for example, like when I take improv and I do improv, like when I look at most things like this at all time. Even when I go to a movie, I'm looking at like this movie itself. How did they shoot it? What was going on behind it? Oh, the angle and how it made me feel. And like, so like when I'm at improv and I'm in the state, like I'm in a chair, not performing, and I'm watching somebody. I think a lot of people around are just watching. They're just enjoying. They're just consuming. Mm-hmm. It's a generalization, but for me, I'm analyzing, not criticizing. I'm like understanding. Yeah. I'm trying to consume to be educated, not consume to be entertained. I'm trying to do both. What's up?
No. I mean, that's so true. We watched Scooby, the Scoop movie, and we started watching it because my girlfriend's dad downloaded it, and don't get us. But anyways, he downloaded it because I'm not gonna pay for that movie. And the beginning was California Love, the intro.
Okay.
And I was just like, how many movies have been opened up with this song?
How many? I have no idea.
I don't know. Probably too many. But I was just like, okay. And I was like verbally said, I was like, oh my gosh. This movie already feels like another movie that I've seen before. And she was like, oh, turn it off. You're already becoming critical. And I'm like, I'm just saying, I'm just analyzing. I'm not being critical. So it's funny you said that, because it's like, yeah, certain type of people, I've talked about to Joseph Harrison about this too. Like, don't you hate just like looking, like anywhere you go, you're just looking at things and figuring out how you can make them better.
I don't know
just about... kind of like, what could have they done better? What did they do there? Instead of just like looking at something, you know?
Appreciating, yeah.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Then that kind of goes back to like, kind of the conversation of chaos, and structure. It's like, yeah, okay, like, and I mean, you're mid-20s?
Yeah, 25. Yeah.
Mid-20s?
I'm still upset that I said that we illegally downloaded a movie. So, sorry guys. I'm 25. And
25. Yeah. It's fine. I have to imagine that everyone who created, like, even people who created Netflix probably pirated movies at some point in time, or music or something. Like, right? Like, you don't just do, like, they're looking for that. Oh, yeah, okay. So
anyway,
like,
sorry, go ahead. I'm over it now. No. You help me out.
This show brought you. So the wedding thing. Let's just, like, where can people hook? Like, you said Instagram to start this, but like, seriously, at the middle, we'll do like a little mid-roll here. It's like, where can they find you to do that wedding stuff?
I have a website. It's isicle.net.
.net.
Super professional. ISICLE. So Isicle spelled with an S. But yeah, you can just go on there and.
Are you most prevalent on Instagram?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be on Facebook, but it's hit or miss as far as like what kind of content. But I'm on Instagram every day posting stories, and soon here once I get my whole rest of the studio set up, and I'll be releasing like 1 minute vlogs a couple times a week, and just kind of like going through shit, because I'm tired of trying to come up with cool captions that describe what I'm doing with photos that
it's tough.
Don't really like I'm not a model. I'm not.
Yeah, you are, bro.
Yeah, but I can't, like, I'm not gonna pay a photographer all the time to like shoot me, and like I'm not gonna pose for myself. It's just like a very like, it's just the opposite of what I do. Like I work and I get shit done. So like the only way I could really show that is to use my video skill and like capture it all. So I'm just gonna like do vlogs, and they're not gonna be like crazy. Like they're gonna be somewhere between a lifestyle vlog and an educational vlog, and I'm gonna try to like not get too deep into stuff. But
are you gonna put a paywall up for that, or are you just gonna put it on YouTube? Or?
Oh, it's just gonna be on Instagram. Okay. So I'm gonna use Instagram as my YouTube. Like I don't care. Like I spend more time on Instagram, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to put up like long videos. I don't want to have the stress of like having to work all this footage. I just want like a low stress, quick dump of a movie, and if I want to put it on IGTV, I can do that. But I'm just thinking minute videos, and yeah, eventually I might like do an extended version for a paywall, but I don't have the following.
I almost thought just like, but I think of it as all times. Like you were talking about, hey, it'd be great to be able to travel and go across seas and have the money. And like one of the things that I think I struggle with, even though I've been in sales and I think I have like the characteristics of doing sales, but I don't have the internal, like something about me on my internal doesn't always feel right about sales. And it's like, but that's one of the that's one of the things that like as a creative person, which I would call myself now these days, I wouldn't before, like you gotta find that way. Like if you can't do it, somebody else got to do it. And like I don't know, I would support, like if you said, hey, I'm gonna put out this information, it's $1 a month.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
it would be that.
I mean, to me, it's like I would just give you $1 to have it, no problem, because I support what you're doing, and I'm already, I know you could post on Instagram TV, but the $1 actually goes a little bit further, right? Like 7 people, that's a Chipotle burrito, like, and that Chipotle burrito, when you are a creative person, is a big deal. And so like kind of getting comfortable like asking for that, and by putting it behind the paywall, I totally understand. Like I'm in that boat now with the podcast, is like I don't want to spend my time chopping videos, right? I don't want to, like, my core things are having conversations like this and learning. So as I'm like starting my company again, starting a new company at this point, and a new vision, and putting out content, the one thing about this podcast is like, this is no different than what I was doing 3 years ago or 10 years ago. This is what I'm doing. The only difference now is that I'm recording it,
you're pursuing,
and I'm sharing it, and I'm putting it out there so that people can do with it what they want. And so like obviously there's some different ways to support me, but I think, I don't know, I feel like doing more, I think you're right. Like, could you do this long form video on YouTube, but you're like, my shit is making, my shit is creating, and so like however I can maximize doing that. And that's why I say consider putting it behind a paywall, even if it's on like Patreon or YouTube or something where you share a link and keep it real simple, because that also probably creates free time for you to do more creating and more of what you already doing to do that. Because that's kind of like the weird like void for me, is like how do I figure that out?
Yeah, well, okay, so I agree with you, and I definitely am, and I you know Grant, another Lagota friend, we were talking about this the other day. We had a dinner party he was at, and we were both talking about how we just hate like pushing our stuff financially, and like the thing that you said support, you'd love to support me, and I'm not gonna call you, I'm not saying that you feel this way, but that's a trigger word for me. because it feels like you're just supporting me because you want to support me. And I'm not saying that. I know that's not where you were at, but
I'm processing.
Yeah, so
that's a
so
big
don't
thing.
take it personal. But
yeah, go for it.
So, but support to me, and sometimes people will say, "I want to buy this from you. I want to get this furniture. I want to support you." It always throws me off, and that's fine. I mean, like you don't.
Why does it? No, I want to go into it.
It throws me off because I want someone to want it, no matter who it is, no matter who I am to them, because it almost feels like they're supporting me, and then I owe them something other than the furniture. And it feels like also they might not like it that much. They just like me. And that's honestly a cool thing. But for me, I want to like have people buy something because they want it straight up. Like, so, and I'm not saying that like, yeah, I think the $1 a month is good. And I something like that would be good in the future. And I mean, I work for myself, so I definitely am not afraid to ask for money for things. But when you're talking about, you know, how much I make for a wedding or whatever, like, it doesn't really compare to that. So, like, it would have to be a lot before I started, like, promising things for money for people. Like, and like, that's fine. Like, if it's $1 a month or $2, I think $2 is a good one. I mean, like, even, like, large podcast guys have just $2 a month subscriptions. And I mean, if it was like $2 a month and there was like 50 subscribers, that'd be awesome. Yeah. $100 a month for me, that would be enough. But to get to the point where you're having like 50 people pay that, like, let's get serious. Like, I know that I can't do that right now, and like, I'm not gonna do something for 5 people right now. And so, like, for me, and my pride gets in the way of this too. But like, I'm not gonna launch something unless I know it's gonna work. And I'm kind of afraid of failure in that way, just because I have enough going for me that I don't need to. Like, I've done the thing where you know, I played on the street in the Oregon district, DJ'd on the street. I've done all these things that you have to do to kind of put yourself out there. And now, like, you know, like, instead of pursuing that financially, like, I can go make diffusers. Like, I have a ton of different business ideas that are like just waiting in the vault of my mind, and like just waiting to have time to pursue to get money.
Yeah.
So I've just now been in this position during the quarantine to where like I'm like, oh, I can make money. It's how much time do I have to, like, what do I pursue and what's like the best option for me? And it's kind of a cool situation, and like a huge, for anyone watching that like is wondering if they can like do it. Like, maybe you can't, but like probably you can if you really put yourself, like, it takes a while, and like it's been like 7 years working for myself, but like there's so many options and there's so many ways to make money, so to get into that, I just want to have this non-stress way of expressing myself on Instagram, and I think it'll generally help the other things and legitimize my music, legitimize my woodworking, legitimize my DJ business. And it's almost like giving out free stickers. It's like I haven't ever charged for stickers. I've spent probably $400 on stickers in the last, you know, couple years, but I've never charged for stickers. I mean, there's probably a couple people out there that pay me $1 for stickers. Shout out to you guys. I tried to at some point, and I just never feels right. I'm like, it's a sticker. Like, it cost me 10 cents. I mean, like, I could charge for it, but to me, it's like, this is just bringing my value up. Put them on the stop signs, put them on all this stuff. Like, to me, like, that's a loss. And so, like, social media to me and, like, content like that to me, that's something that's going to build the rest of you up. And, like, you know, if I make $100 per diffuser, that's going to make way more money for me with the time invested. And then I don't have to stress about actually having to release a video. It's just,
I think it's interesting. So you touched on a lot, and
yeah.
The support. No, it's good. I love that you went into the support thing, because I look at it at the end as like, if you said you can support me, like, I don't care if you ever release another video again. Like, so to me, it's not like, hey, this is what you're getting in return. It's like, I do me, and if you support, that's the kind of thing. Is like, can't both exist? And I'm not. I'm not telling you to do this.
Because there's tons of people that support me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, like I would buy your furniture because if I had the extra funds to do it, I'd just buy your furniture because I do like your fucking furniture.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a bonus because I like you. And the opposite would be why I follow you on social media is because I like you, not just because of the content that you put out. So in one form, they exist inside of each other, right? The furniture is you, the music is you. And so, like, to me, it's like, you know, like, I do have a Patreon page. Right? It's like, it's for me to just do the things. Like, if you want to participate in that, it's kind of like, hey, I see you once a year and I want to buy you a cup of coffee, or I want to buy you dinner. That's kind of the same thing. And so I don't know, I feel like there still is a way, because here's the thing, is like, you can make $100 on a diffuser, but if you had 10,000 followers paying you $2, that's 20 grand. You're not going to make that in diffusers because you don't have enough time unless you hire people to make diffusers, right? So they're from a like standpoint there, like, if I create a Netflix for 2 users, right, to pay me $12 a month, that's a giant waste of time. But the scalability of that, right?
But I definitely won't be able to scale it to 200 or what would you say, 2,000?
10,000.
Yeah, I wouldn't definitely be able to scale it to 10,000 if they were all people that just wanted to support me. And that's kind of my thing. It's like, it has to be good enough that anyone just sees it. They're, you know, I have the hashtag beatmaker, and someone that's looking through that, they see it and they're like, oh, that's cool. Without knowing me or even knowing my character or knowing anything, it's not scalable if they have to get to know me, because you have to take a lot of time to do that. I want it to be something you see right away. And you're like, oh, this is different, and then you dive into it. And so I guess my content, to me, I want to put content out first. But no, I mean, you said a lot of good things, and like,
but that is the game. That's the long term, though. You're gonna be you for the rest of your life, so it is a long term play for you to put out content. That's the whole point. Like, and that's why I say it's like just being yourself in this, which you do really well. And I, like, again, I've talked about that admiration. It's like, just, but I think there's a way to, like, like, you're gonna be you for the long haul. So, like, if someone does come onto your content and they'll get to know you over time, but, like, you're going to continue doing it regardless if they're watching or not, because all you're doing is just being yourself and sharing it. So it's like nothing, I don't know, like, that's not a full thought there, but yeah, man, I think there's a lot of ways to go about that. And I think maybe I'm just kind of talking to myself, like, how do I get people who want to be involved? How do I give them an opportunity to be involved on their terms that are a little different? Because I don't know I don't know what you do with your $10. I don't know what I know what you do with your $10. I look around this room, I'm like, I know what he spends his money on. It's wood and instruments. It's incredible.
$9.50 of that $10 is going to cents. If you were to take it, it's
So the creative process, what do you how do you take time? Because you had some self-awareness there, and you had some questions that you asked yourself. So I'm curious, how do you take time to solve your own problems and to work through some of those mental things that we kind of just talked about? Do you do that through sitting down on the couch and contemplating? Do you do it through, like, I don't know, I just need to go make music and it'll clear my head type thing? Like, how do you or make, like, what is your process there? How do you figure shit out?
It's cool. I'm gonna give an answer for each of the things that I do after I go to the bathroom, and you do an ad for
Bellevue.
Yeah.
You do the Bellevue ad?
Yeah. You gotta hold
I actually, you got me back on the Aldi's game anyway, man.
Oh, really?
Oh my god, I feel like a millionaire walking into Aldi's now.
100%.
So, well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is a little commercial break here. Little mid-roll, I guess. Go to Aldi's, save your money, get groceries. This show is not sponsored by Aldi's. It is not sponsored by anybody but myself. So if you'd like to be a sponsor, come on down. No, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I guess I can give a few things. Hey, if you haven't already, since you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple or Spotify, do me a huge favor and share the love. If you've been listening this far, you probably are hearing this. So do me a big favor and hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell, get notifications when I post a new video. I post different types of videos if you've been following me at all, or if you're just coming in. So there's Cale Fitness, which has some fitness videos, 5 and supplement ebooks. I got a few other ebooks coming out there. It's all free resources. I just want to be able to give that information out to people, so you can do that. Right now, doing a beta test of the Gap 5 journal. It's basically around the art of fulfillment, and I talked about it earlier on the podcast. Here is, creating some sort of structure for those people who are creatives, or those people who are just really rigid. You can take both of those people. So those people who are really rigid, it creates that framework of safety for you, but also gives you the space to kind of figure out what other areas could you find fulfillment in. And same thing for those creative people like me, who need a little bit more structure, but also don't want the restrictiveness of parameters to just bog you down. But anyways, it's a framework journal. It's a 30-day framework journal. You can go to gap5.com, GAPFIVE.com. You can get the free PDF download, and they'll soon be available. There is a little video there that you can watch as well. But just put in your email, you'll get the downloadable PDF. What else have we got going on? Oh, I don't have it on today, but the one way that you can, I mentioned earlier, is you can go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/CaleMarker, CALEMARKER. You can support the podcast, or you can go to CaleMarkerPodcast.com, sign up for the newsletter, and I thought you were going to do another cross shot. And you can go to CaleMarkerPodcast.com/HappyAF. Oh, it's still full. I still got my Bellevue. You can go to CaleMarkerPodcast.com/HappyAF. You can support the podcast by grabbing a Happy as Fuck t-shirt. And I think that's it for the mid-roll. And go support Isicle on his social media on IG. You have YouTube stuff?
Here and there.
Here and there. He's got here and there. Hire him for your destination wedding, your destination party. What was that movie, Fire? F-Y-R-E. That was all like other stuff. I don't know, that was just like big scam. They made a Netflix about it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're not done yet. We're going to keep going. This was the commercial break. This is intermission, right? They do intermission? The opera?
I'm just making sure I don't need any more fluids, but I probably shouldn't. That Bellevue kind of makes you burp a lot.
Yeah, man.
But
I wonder what's happening to the insides at that point.
yeah, I don't know, but it's not really the greatest podcast thing in that case. But we don't have like mics right up to us, so it's not as bad, I guess.
To burp in a microphone?
Yeah, to burp in a microphone would be.
Is that rude?
I mean, depends on what podcast. Yeah. But yeah, so for my creative process, you asked, how do I kind of get in the zone, come up with new things?
Well, two things. One, yeah, absolutely. Like, how do you like if I'm a person who feels like this burning desire, who I want to be more creative, but I don't really know how. Like, explain the way that you go about the creative process for some, because I think some people just don't understand that the creative process in and of itself is a process. So it's like something they have to go through, and you have to like get started.
It's a process to get to the process.
It's never ending. But the other question I did have was how, because there were some questions that you seem to ruminate on, that you kind of focus on, as far as, what did you say? You said you were being insightful about how you approach your business, because it is a business. And I'm curious to know, because again, you say you sleep, but I don't know that you really sleep. I think you do. I think you sleep. Like, you kind of go like me. You kind of like 8 hours a night. That doesn't make sense for you. Like for you, it makes sense to get 4 hours one night and 10 hours the next night. Like, I don't know. You're kind of like a big cat in the wild.
I think like if I could get to this point, I think it'd be ideal to have a consistent schedule. And truly, I think that, like we were saying, chaotic people like me that have like flies in their coffee and like all that shit, like it's ideal to try to create patterns for yourself, and it's gonna make it better. And I think someday, like, I'll have, if I need to make like a chalkboard or whatever, and have the list of things that I do on that day, like I've started to make, like, there's things that my business would run way better if I did all, let's be honest, like all 50 of these things every week. Like I went through all the new music that I need to download, all the top 40 stuff, check out new music, listen to stuff for DJing. Number 2 would be like listening to, and so these are all things that help me be inspired, help my businesses run. These are all things that I should be doing all the time to help my process run smoother. But yeah, so downloading new music, top 40 music, trying to check out what the kids are listening to, so I can stay intact. Because I'm afraid of being that like old DJ, and I'm afraid of my music going out of style.
Don't stop.
Yeah, I know.
Believing.
Yeah, I'm afraid of that. So like, being that is just like, that's scary to me. So then also listening to music, not like stuff that everyone's listening to, but trying to find really good music that people, yeah, trying to find new music that people are like musicians listen to, and like really good shit. So like my brain can be refreshed with like really good ideas. That's kind of like the second one. I mean, the third one, I can keep going on the list, but like third one would be like practicing with my synthesizers, making sure that I have fun with them, try to find new ways that I can route different sounds on the synthesizer. It's kind of like a never-ending thing. That way I can, when I'm out soloing at a show or like just kind of improvising, I know that knob does that, and I know how to do it instead of like kind of like fumbling around. Because the more, like, I've had a synthesizer for 4 years, and I can, when I do a live show with that one, I know all the little gimmicky tricks I can do to make it sound sweet. For some other ones, you turn a knob, it doesn't do anything. Like, oh, that was kind of a waste of people's time, you know? Or you do something that makes it sound awful, and you're like, oh, I wish I had a Command Z for that. But anyway, there's a list of things, and practicing piano, practicing scales.
I was surprised to hear you
drums.
said, what was the thing you said to do that you did today? You're like, I practiced something. You said you practiced, and I'm like,
yeah.
Man, like I don't know where, but like, why was the creative process something that just seemed to have to be so improvised? Like, it had to be spontaneous. It had to be just like, oh, it hit you in the side of the head, and you're like, oh, I got this idea. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna make this song, but it's like, that's not it. Like, there is a way to gamify the creative process, and I think so. That's like, I have all different types of podcasts. I have all types of different guests and stuff like that, and I just feel like this is such one of the, other than just having a cool conversation, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is just like the authenticity, but just the creativeness that exists inside of you is like, and like obviously like you're on some level of an extreme, right? Like your living room is this way. Not a lot of people. But
yeah,
like,
no family. Yeah.
I don't mean extreme in a bad way, but like what I mean is that there are a lot of people who are listening to this that like
unrealistic.
It's unrealistic to be in your position. But what I want to bring out and kind of extract, the one thing I do want to extract from that is like, there are things that can be taken from your process and implemented into, like, for example, one of my older brothers, Jordy, who's an engineer. Like, not to say that he needs to change anything about his life, but there are things in conversations I've had with Jordan and people like him that I feel like if they had insight into what you go through and really what that is, it would inspire them. Because working out is a creative process, and people think like, I should just be fit, and it's like, I should just do CrossFit, or I should just do weights, and it's like, actually, the whole process of fitness and wellness is similar to what you're describing as your process is like, you have to go to a CrossFit class, you have to get an old synthesizer, you have to play with it on the digital realm, you have to play with a guitar, and what I mean by this is all different aspects of fitness and wellness to actually start to figure out what it is for you and what your schedule is. Is it 3 days a week, 4 days a week? Like, and people so often just want like this and say, here, tell me what to do. And I think, I don't think that's a good way to live. I think, I think there's a lot of shitty emotions and depression in that. And that's not where I wanted to get to, but I really want you to kind of expand on all this creative stuff, because I think it's super useful. And what you do and what you're describing is, it's actually something tactful and tangible and actionable that people can do. That isn't just like, oh, he was born with this. Like, that's not true.
My whole thing is stuff that like I've learned. I'm not like a naturally talented musician. I don't have perfect pitch or anything. I'm not really naturally talented at that many things at all. All this stuff is kind of like stuff that I've just learned from my family. I've never done like an IQ test, but it probably isn't that big. Like, it's not that great. Big. It's not a big IQ. But no, really, like I have a really hard time, you know, paying attention to shit. Like I've never like seen if I've had but only if I'm obsessed. So
that's
there's
what
like
I mean.
There's like I could have like a form of autism. Like my parents just like never gave a shit to like give me that, you know, like, and I'm not saying that like being on, you know, but like I could have like a low form of, like, who knows, because I learned how to, like, I still can't talk. I'm 25. Like, who knows?
You're talking right now.
I know, but like I still can't even form words, and like, you know, but anyways, I have a hard time is what I'm saying. Like to do all these things, like it's been just like, oh, if you're gonna get to this level that this person is, you're gonna have to work at it every single day. And so yeah, but scales, you know, scales are going through a certain scale. There's 12 scales that you go through in different keys, and that's kind of like practicing theory, and that's kind of like mind work, physical work, all of the muscle memory stuff, the dribbling with the basketball, dribbling with your left hand. I learned that from basketball. Ooh. That you walk around your neighborhood dribbling 2 balls, you try to go through the hand, you can get creative with it all day. You could dribble a basketball all day, 2 basketballs all day. You could do that all day and just work on dribbling. Same with keys. Like you go up and down the keys with just these 2 hands. You do this middle finger, you do the 4th finger and your 3rd finger. Anything that you think you might use in a solo or to get in places, I have to go like from chords to the other ones. I have I think 6 or 7 things I do, and I watch Batman animated series while I do them. So I literally turn my keys off. You can hear a little bit because my electric pianos, you can hear the bells being hit, just so I make sure I hit them the right notes. But it's mainly the physical muscle memory thing, and my playing has gotten so much better since I started doing that for 20 minutes a day. But yeah, I do it with my left hand, and then every day, like, I got these exercises from a piano player, but I use and I expand on them, and I'm like, oh, he was saying that this finger, but I also noticed that like my 4th finger is not good. What if I do this and then change the octave and blah blah blah? But anytime you're trying to like work on, saying like work on your CrossFit shit, working on your body, you have to take instruction from your instructor, and then you take wisdom from someone else, but then you figure out how to like apply it to yourself. Because obviously, like, if you're a videographer, you might not give a shit about like how I make my music, but I guarantee you can implement, if you're creative enough, you can figure out how to implement what I'm saying right now and work it into your video program. How to, you know, make sure you check out all the presets that are in the video effects. Make sure you, when you go into that mirroring effect, make sure you check out all the options there are in that mirroring effect. Make sure you learn your program, you know, video. Make sure you learn your camera. Make sure you can manually, you know how to manually focus, right? You make sure you practice that smooth, you know, that 100%. Smooth manual. And so pretty much, yeah, it's just all things that you need to know your gear and practice. And yeah, I mean, I know you have thought, but I'm going to keep just listing off shit that I would do in a week. If you're
I think, so what I'm learning and what I'm fascinated by, in kind of to circle around to our conversation to start with, is like being obsessed about things, and like I'm obsessed about learning people's processes, and what I am and sharing was the thing that actually I'm trying to reference.
Yeah,
it's just sharing what you know, and it's like what I'm learning is like practice exists in anybody who is good. Like at anything, right? Like, yeah. And I like that because it makes it possible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what you're saying is I'm not good at this, and that's okay, and I'm okay to be humble about it. I don't have to tell anybody that I'm supposed to be good at it. It's like our conversation at the start is like, I don't know, is there 13, 12? It's like, but like, and you were a little uncomfortable with like being incorrect there, but like on a lot of ways you're okay being humbled and not knowing something, because for you it's an opportunity to grow. And you've had good experiences in putting in practice. You've had good experiences and outcomes, and you've seen the fruits of your labor in that way. Like, and what I mean by that is like, by you saying, "Oh, my fourth finger sucks," instead of saying like, "Ooh, how do I avoid that when I go on stage?" Like, which a lot of people do, and I'm guilty of it. As like, my left hand in basketball still sucks. Like, if people actually, if people watch me, they'll know that like he has no left hand.
I'll push you up.
He has no idea. The only thing that I do is I've somehow figured out how to go back right in some ways. Like, but if people watch me, they know that I'm like, I have no, like, it's not good. It's like, I feel like it almost has no feeling. Like, when a basketball's in my hand, I'm like, doesn't feel like I have anything there.
Yeah.
But, anyways.
I'm just talking trash to you, by the way.
Yeah.
But
I just gave it away. He's like, I'm forcing left all the time. All the time.
I already do. Don't worry about it.
You what?
No, we haven't. We guarded each other. Like, I remember when I first came to our pickup games, I wanted to guard you. And then, like, after a while, like, I was just like, dude, this guy. Oh,
you were like, what?
Dude, I'm like, keeping up with this guy is a fucking mess.
Why?
Because you're active on both sides of the court. And so, like, I'm not, like, it's just, like, exhausting.
That's the look you have on your face.
Exhausting.
Like, somebody else want to guard this guy, or have him guard him.
Because I took on the challenge. Oh, this is perfect. Because like we kind of play the same, but like if you're being honest, if you have someone that's kind of not like you, and you can work a little more on offense, you can work a little more on defense, and you can relax. But if we're going at it, but yeah,
I do. I put the pressure on.
Yeah,
for sure. I like, because I mentioned this earlier, like the chaos. I like being in there. I like, to me, and I know myself that like it's when I do that, and you trying to. I mean, I guess talking on pickup, you've probably seen this. There have been a couple games where I might have been behind. My team has been behind a few, and like I attempt to just turn on a switch, and like in my mind, if it's playing by 1s and 2s and we're playing to 11 or 12, and it's like 10-7, in my mind there's a switch, and I just say, okay, this is done, like we're winning 11-10, and here's how we're going to do it, and here's how I'm going to put myself in these positions to then either pass it, and like I don't know, I get to this mode, but I somehow, like I said, subconsciously I seem to put myself in some of those positions, and especially even in basketball. But it's funny because that is my agenda. My agenda is to wear people out. And it's funny. I do remember the first couple games, like I don't want to guard him.
Oh, I was into it at first because I got in when I started playing. I was like, oh, we're basketball again, dude. The next couple of weeks, I went to the park and played basketball by myself to practice my shot, practice my dribbling. Dude, I have enough stuff to do. I'm getting obsessed over basketball again. Like, okay, Isaac, you're never gonna make money doing basketball. Shut the fuck up and just play for fun. Yeah. That's why I stopped guarding you, because I'm like, dude, I will get way too into this, and I'll also get too tired to even play. And I'll also I'll play even worse, and then I'll be upset with myself. So it sounds really shallow, but there are things in my life that I purposely. Like, again, like when I'm watching the movie with my girlfriend, I have to stop. I have to turn off that thing that makes comments and just like gets obsessed over stuff and like puts that creative, whatever obsession. And
be selective.
Yeah, I just need to turn that stuff off, because it's just like, like people don't like that all the time. And there's a form of mental health to where like you can relax and just like enjoy something. And that's what I try to do with basketball.
Try to leisure,
like the only thing it brings to me, like in the long run, I mean, it obviously gets that competitive, and it's good to kind of practice being competitive without being an ass. That's a problem I have, but for the most part, like I just need the exercise. That's why I go, and as long as I'm like tired the fuck out after a whole day, like I did it, and I'm tired like halfway through with you, so but no, we'll get it on. We'll get it.
Yeah,
we'll
and then I have my own agenda of playing. Like, I don't go out and practice basketball. I don't have the time. Like, I talked about my left hand. I do think there's a lot of cross-pollination between doing things like that. Like, doing the dishes. How does doing the dishes... The question is, like, stubbornly, like, how does doing the dishes teach me anything about music? And it's like, but if you ask yourself with, like, how might doing dishes teach me something about music? So like, to me, something about basketball is like, and I asked you this earlier, is like, when do you create time? Because for me, what I've learned, like meditation is a thing where I sit down, but a lot of meditation and how I solve my problems is done through some sort of activity. And basketball is one of those activities, sort of. Kind of the opposite is where I get into flow, and the kids don't, not that they don't exist, but like,
Yep.
I'm in a place where I don't get a lot of the times because I live in that critical place of watching a movie and like, criticize, see this, see that, see this, analyze. How they do that in and of itself is exhausting for the people. Excuse me, I'm burping on camera.
You're good.
You need to bring back the burp. You know, the genuine burp, the pony. You heard pony?
Yeah.
My brother Jordan used to burp to that in the car. It was disgusting. He would make himself burp.
Oh, well, that's a FM. I'm not gonna explain it, but yeah, I learned how to make that. That's a synth. Yeah, that's a synth noise. Yeah. So am I bringing back an actual burps, or am I gonna bring back that that growl?
I mean, unless you could like get in my head, I could see only one other option is like some very overweight, disgusting white man who can burp and sitting in a phone booth who can just like on command just like disgustingly burp. Otherwise, yeah, you probably want to just do it on a synthesizer, or whatever you.
I might have to go. I mean, I could go make it for you, but we'll keep on task.
There's no task here.
Yeah, it's fun. It's actually really similar to the Ninja Turtles. It's actually a really similar form of
synthesization. That's a mouthful. So why do you think you have like this small form of autism?
I don't know.
I'm more curious. I don't want to like scientifically diagnose you, but I'm curious. It's like, from an outsider, I have no idea. Like I wouldn't guess that, but I don't know enough about it anyways. But I'm just curious.
I don't know, and I don't actually know like the specifics. I'm just saying like there's things about me that like, especially like when you like my girlfriend, like we've been together for 3 years, and you spend enough time with someone that like hasn't known you before, and they're like, oh, you're different than everyone I know. Here, like she's mentioned it, like maybe you might have that, maybe like she's like, I've always wondered that because like you're different than everyone I know. So like
what differences is she talking about?
I think it's just the form, like just my like I have to like be like I was just on my like squatting on the couch, so like I just like there's things I do, and like those are all things I do because I'm comfortable with myself to like just do them, like tap on the, like I could stop myself from doing it, but like it's just like whatever. But all those things, I don't know if that's a form of it, but like I think in general it's like the ability to like not focus on something, but you can obsess about other things, but it's hard to focus on other things.
That sounds like ADHD.
ADHD, maybe that's it.
Yeah, ADHD. I don't know if that's a component because
That's what she said. That's it, dude. That's how stupid I am. I don't even know what it is. That's what she said. It's maybe like a low form of it. And dude, my grandma, my late grandma, she used to sit. She lived at my house for a little bit near the end of her life, and we would give her breakfast, and she would sit on the table, and she would pick like lick her finger and put like touch a crumb and then put it in her mouth. Like if there was anything on the table, she would like clean it up. And same with my dad. My dad, after a dinner, he'd have his plate and he'd have the napkin he was using, and he would wipe the napkin and clean his plate with the napkin while we were eating.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it.
So I don't know if that's a form of ADHD. What is it?
Oh, that's like OCD.
Dude, I don't even know. There's so
many, dude.
But
the thing is, we're all just unique and different.
Yeah.
And like we all have these quirks. Like you said it earlier. Like if you spend enough time with any person,
you're like, oh, you're weird.
Yeah, like you got like, you're weird. You got weird shit going on in your head.
Yeah.
But it's just like most people are just like, I don't know. Like,
but the point of all this is doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
I think
matter.
that's the biggest thing. Is like about having you on the podcast. One of those things is like you have just found a way, and I kind of think if I had to attribute it to something as a non-doctor person, is like, it's kind of going to homeschool for you.
Yeah.
Because like, if I look at one of the main reasons I could go look at my childhood as far as parenting, but school, you learn to fall in line, which I rebelled all the time against, but but like, you don't have this freedom to explore your own uniqueness and what we're describing as, you know, being weird. Like, whereas I feel, and I don't know this because I didn't study you as a child growing up, or did I? Right? Is like, you had a little bit more cultural acceptability in your day-to-day.
Oh, yeah.
Because you didn't have to go to 8 hours of elementary school. You didn't go to elementary school, did you?
No. I mean, I will say there's definitely cultural acceptability in some ways, but then my dad is also, it's like, you know, he's just kind of an ass sometimes. So it's like, I probably wouldn't have had a teacher in high school that treated me like my dad did, but I'm totally the way I am, work ethic wise, and the way I am, like, just hard on myself because of my dad. And I have a line in my song that says, like, and it's like talking to a girl. It's like, you say I'm just like my dad. I don't mind. I know it. Proud to say and own it. That ain't making me mad anymore. Because, like, sometimes, you know, have you heard, like, someone, like, try to, like, you're just like your dad?
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, it's kind of like that. But, like, yeah, I am. And it's not like my dad's perfect or I'm perfect because of that. But, you know, those things also make me who I am, and they make me, you know, special in a good way in some ways, too. But anyway, so homeschooled, there was definitely a lot of acceptance as far as, like, no one's going to make fun of me for building Lego castles all night on a Saturday night when that's my free time. Like, there's no one going to, like, be like, you're a nerd. And I'm not even smart, but I'm still a nerd also. So I don't even know how that works. But
I don't know how that works. I think there was a comedian that, I don't know, he had a PowerPoint slide. And he was doing, like, Venn diagrams with, like, I don't know who this guy was, but it's like if you're a nerd, a geek, or a
geek, that's probably
or
it.
something else. He's like, there was something in the middle, and then it was like nerd, geek, something else, and like then where all of them crossed over, he's like, if you're these two, then you're a pedophile. If you're these two,
oh my God, I need to see that.
It's pretty funny.
I need to see that.
And it's like, well, what is a nerd? What is a geek? And like, if you have these skills, then and you're a geek and you're a nerd, and you're a geek and a nerd, you're this. But if you're a geek, nerd, and a something else, then you're like, it was pretty funny. He had a few different ones too. He had like one from the business world too. It was pretty funny.
Really?
But
my obsession with that right now has been, there's people, like, me and my girlfriend went to Columbus to pick up that synth, and we went to the Asian market. I don't know what it's like a strip mall, but there's a couple of Asian places. I think one of them is like a Japanese store. But anyways, they're just the most interesting people that shop there. Just like colored hair, like they might, like, some of them I would assume, like, non-binary, like transgender. Like there's all these different people. Like, but you know, like there's people that we all live in this place, but you could probably find the more alternative crowd in that place. And I was thinking, like, okay, like, there's, like, anime people, a lot of, like, geeks and nerds like anime, a lot of people like video games, and there's there's this Venn diagram of people, and it's not that, like, I'm stereotyping it, but, you know, factually, more, like, maybe, like, people that like anime or have colored hair, and there's these people, and so, like, for me, like, I've never thought of myself as a nerd. Because, like, for some reason, I always thought, like, a nerd is, like, oh, you're into anime, or, like, but there's, like, all these things that I'm totally nerdy about. Like,
makes me think of the geek out. Like,
it's just, like, being obsessed with something. Like, why can't you be obsessed with something that not a lot of people understand or think is weird? I think that's pretty much it.
I'm curious to know, like, why some of those things have a negative connotation to them, like
right.
geek
Oh,
or nerd.
yeah, and I
It's
have
like,
no negative connotation to any of
I
the
know
things
neither
just
of us
said.
do.
Yeah.
But it does. But we do in our own mind, or have at some point in time, is like, am I a nerd? Am I supposed to, like, I don't know about you. I mean, I guess I'm speaking for you, but like for me, it's like, I did feel that way. I felt like I wasn't supposed to be. I would be a bad. I don't know if bad is the right word, but I definitely at certain point in times of like, and not that I had anything against people who were smart that would be claimed as geeks or nerds, but I felt like if I was that way, then I would be uncool in a different way.
Yeah.
But what I like,
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
sure if that makes sense, but it's like, why does that even matter? Two, like why does that have a negative thing? Like, so what if you are? So what if you do geek out? Like I put so much weight on like the thought and opinions of other people, and like actually up until this podcast, starting this not this specific one, but like starting this during quarantine in March 29th, 2020 is like, I really stopped giving a shit. Stopped protecting myself from myself.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like breaking down expectations that I give other people. Like, I'm taking myself out of that box that I think I've also put myself into. Like, your opinion of who I am is some sort of box. Like, in your mind, you have this thought of who I am. And so when I would be around you and I would know that, I would try to fit in that box. And I feel like at this point now, I give less shits about fitting into that box and more about expanding on that box. Like giving you more layers of who I am.
Yeah.
And going a little bit deeper. And this podcast for me, once I kind of got through the first couple episodes, and I'm like, oh, this is not that bad. Like, you can get on this camera and it's also brought a sense of liberation, which I have to assume that you, at some point in time, I don't know where it was, but you kind of, have you had that where you felt liberated at some point? Like in your music, into your piercings, into your style?
Yeah. I think this is going to be conflicting with people, I think, but when I basically just admitted that I'm not a Christian anymore, that was one of the moments that I was like, oh, now I can do whatever I want with art. I can cuss, I can, whether at one time I started smoking marijuana,
how dare you?
All these things that you couldn't do, it's like, oh, I can do any of this stuff that I want. And it's not all necessarily good, but it's not all necessarily bad either. And so this moment for me, and obviously I had moments before that of finding who I am, and obviously the way I grew up was super cool and learned to be who I am. But I at some point just didn't really have. I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about anything. And I think Christians would say that's you accepting sin into your life, and you just don't care about sin anymore. You're just letting Satan, That's an opinion. I mean, I'm not gonna laugh about it because
I'm laughing at how you're explaining it. You're like, fuck it. I'm not at that.
Because you guys want to get into theology.
No, I mean, shit.
I don't want to.
Well, we don't have to. I don't think
that's
we
why
have
I'm
to.
just kind of
yeah, you're
But there's obviously I understand that viewpoint. But anyways.
But it was liberating for you to step out of Christianity and its boundaries, or its constructs on certain levels of constructs, and saying, wait a second, there's life that exists outside of this,
and then the people, the community that I got into right after that, they're not necessarily all drug smoking people, but just people that were just more like me. I was one of the weirdest people in my church. I threw a couple art festivals year after year, and people would I remember one of the youth pastors that was over me was oh, you're Isaac, the DJ guy, you're the fun guy, you're the creative person, and he didn't view me as a good leader. He didn't think I was good with the kids, or like maybe like teaching them theology, which, you know, looking back, probably not a good idea. but like at the time I was very hurt by that, because I was like, I know my theology, like I've loved teaching, and so he only viewed me as one type of person, and he didn't view it as like a legitimate, it didn't seem like he viewed me as a legitimate like way of being like an adult. He viewed me as a child because I was into all this stuff. And there was a couple of things that happened in the church like after the festival that like, and I felt very like illegitimate as like an adult professional person, just because I was weird and creative and like wore color. And so but you know, like that's, you could say that's the fault of the church and stuff, but like in general, like there's so many things in the church that I feel like that stifle creativity. And there, I mean, you obviously there's also an argument that like God is the creator and he created us to be creative beings, and there's this whole, you know, and that's really fascinating and really just inspiring to think about too. And I don't, maybe there's like somewhere between, which is super sketchy to say, but like maybe there's somewhere in between. But like if it is true, like the church is doing kind of a bad job, because dude, if you go into a church, the worship music sounds like 90s rock music. And even, I don't care, even if you're a church that like thinks you're hip, you're not. Because there's probably maybe 2 Christian bands that I know of, and I still keep up with it, but like it's still like all the same crowd. And I've talked to, and hopefully I'm not talking trash. It's just like, dude, you get in, it's almost like you get into this little clique of people, and I feel like in a church you're only around certain people because you're generally not hanging around or building close relationships with non-believers.
Yeah. Generally, it's kind of like, and there are churches that do, but like for the most part, you're kind of like confined to this smaller amount of like close friends. Of course, you're gonna go to work, you're gonna be doing all this stuff, but like your close knit community is all kind of into this stuff, and it kind of creates this bubble. Yep. And it's getting better. It's getting better, and I have a lot of friends that are Christians, so that's why I'm like kind of backtracking and just making sure that I'm not being offensive. But it for me as a creative person, at how chaotic my mind is, I felt very out of it. And as soon as I was like, okay, I can I mean, there's a lot of things I don't want to get into, but like, you know, I can like do any of this stuff and not feel bad. I can talk about sex in a song and not have to like figure out the theological reason. Like I can make like a song that like, you know, kind of has this really dark, like maybe depressing type of vibe to it, and not have to like make it relate to like the devil. And like, you know, it's like all this, I could just make what I want there. I don't know how to explain, I keep trying to explain it, but yeah, it was around that time that I then got with this community, and a lot of Stiver students actually that were into all this new music that I never listened to, all this new ways of thinking, all this art that, you know, looking back wasn't that like groundbreaking, but at the time I was like, oh my gosh, these kids are just, they're so open-minded and just like so rebellious.
The thing about being open-minded is like, and if people are offended, I think that would be a good indication for them to kind of check their own selves and their own beliefs. because I think about, I was on a walk today, like I said, and I have 2 young children, and you know, being a parent, you're looking at, okay, well, don't say that to him because you could hurt his feelings. I'm like, wait, my 7-year-old could say something to a 29-year-old or a 40-year-old and upset that adult, and that adult would be upset. And what I meant by that is like, maybe that adult needs to check his own self. That is trademarked. Him own self.
Check. Yeah, that's funny.
Him own and queso.
Yeah.
Ham and cheese. I do. I think that like we tend to be oversensitive to other people, when I feel like maybe they need to be a little more, like, have a little more security with your beliefs, because if it's that fragile, maybe your beliefs are that fragile.
And so to anybody who is offended, I don't think you're coming off offensive. I think you're talking about but I think it's worthy of conversating about, because I think there are a lot of, and maybe again, I'm wrapping this up in my own self, is like, stop being so offended by things. Right?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's me, like, worrying about, because it's something I'm into right now. Like, there was a long period of time where I didn't want to talk about religion, because it was just like, it was this thing. It's still recording. It was this one thing that, like, you know, if I talked to my parents about it, it was just this very, like, we disagree, but Mom, I don't know how to tell you why I don't believe this anymore. I just don't. And it feels weird, because, like, being in Christianity, you're taught how to know why you believe what you believe, and I learned to know why I believed what I believed. But now that I don't, I just know that I don't, but I don't have an answer to why I don't. Does that make sense?
And
it's kind of scary, because obviously, like, you're going to hell if you don't believe, unless, of course, like, I'm still saved and I'm just going through a rebellious period, which, you know, maybe my parents might, you know, some of them still think, which, you know, who knows. But I'm comfortable talking about this stuff now, and it's something I'm into. Like, I don't know all the answers. I don't know how many semitones are in a scale right now, but it's something I'm comfortable talking about, because it's like, honestly, yeah, you're all in the same position. Like, even if you are a Christian, you have to have some type of question. So, like, I'm comfortable just talking about, like, laying it all out there.
I think that's the way to be, man. That's what I was trying to say about the podcast, is like, if you're offended by what I'm saying, that's not on me anymore. Like, you're the one, we live in a society where you can easily hit the off button, right? And like, and it's like the old tube TV in my mind. It's open, it like shrinks down. Like, you have that opportunity to not listen to this conversation. And I the other point, though, I think, not to like get all about what the other people think, but even like, I drive Uber, so I've literally had over 2,000 different people in my car in the last 2 years, and most of that's intimate, one-on-one, you know, for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And not only that, but just driving to different parts of my own city, just Dayton, Ohio. Like, you talk about these kids who go to Stivers, which is a performing arts school in Dayton, and it's like, when you have all these perspectives, you have no other option but then to be open-minded about things, because you start to become so quick to understand that you don't know shit. Like, there's so much that you don't know. And I think that's what you kind of surrender to, the open-mindedness, is like, I think, I didn't grow up this way in Christianity. I think, like, there is so much more out there. There is so much so many possibilities, that, like, just saying, like, this one thing is it. Like, I get where that can be a great structure. I get where that can be a good foundation for a lot of people. What part I get frustrated with on a personal level, and not even frustrated at all, but just kind of like, I think is silly, is like, have you been out in the world at all? Because you mentioned this earlier, it's like bubbles. Like, you're telling me that, like, this way is the only way to live a good life. So everybody who's ever lived on this planet and who's ever lived a life didn't live a good life because they didn't live this way. And I just have a hard time understanding that, and especially why I bring up Uber is, and my biggest thing about just experiences is, like, put the VR goggles on, go down to Xenia Avenue, and if you live on Xenia Avenue, you know, I'm not even going to apologize, but Xenia Avenue here is like, and you let's just say that you're a drug addict prostitute. Put the VR goggles on that person and walk around. I know we can drive down the street and we can point out that person and be like, but that person lives just like you and I do. They wake up and they go to sleep at some point, and they have a daily cycle. And if you put the VR goggles, like, get into that world. Just pretend. Just pretend for a moment that that's the world. Okay, now take those off and go to Oakwood, which is a very nice, by standards of, they pay their taxes and they keep their grass cut nice, and people, like, and put those VR goggles on, and go to just a blue collar house of a guy who worked his whole life. He's 65.
Mm-hmm.
He has kind of an outdated home, but he's kept it really nice. He drives a 1995 Chevy pickup truck that he's kept pristine condition.
Mm-hmm.
Put those VR goggles, and you realize, like, are all these people doing it wrong? Are all of them doing it right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, that's 3 people. Like,
yeah.
what about all the other people
Yeah.
that have gotten in my car? 2,000 or 7, quote unquote, 7 billion people that are on there. And it's like, it's really hard for me to say that somebody, someone,
Mm-hmm.
some story, some religion has the answers. And so that's why I'm so curious when I have guests
Mm-hmm.
on here, and why I stay open-minded is because it's like, I don't know shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I was, and I know I'm kind of going off a tangent here, but it's like, as a 1.5-year-old or a 1-year-old who's learning how to walk, there's no drum set exists, no synthesizer exists, no
Mm-hmm.
video podcast, blah 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 blah, going grocery shopping exists. The only thing that exists is your mom's tit if she's around, your
Mhm.
dad's attention, and learning how to walk.
Yeah.
And so you have this very small window of information of what you know that exists, and that is all that exists.
Yeah.
Fast forwarding now, you're mid 25 and I'm 29, and I've learned so much that I didn't even know existed
Yeah.
as a 1.5-year-old that I've now known that exists. What makes that any different that I still don't know that exists? So I take the position now that I don't know shit.
Mm-hmm.
And most likely the person who's living beside me also doesn't know shit. They're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, it's like that. To me, what I guess I'm saying is I feel this huge pressure lifted off of me. This liberating feeling of like, I get to be who I am, and if
Mm-hmm.
you don't like it, that's on you.
And that's why I talk about, leaving the church as that liberating moment, because it's not like the church was the worst thing to me.
Right.
But if you just a mindset of saying, I can't do this, I should be reading my Bible every day, and there's nothing wrong with practicing and doing something every day. It's just like, why are you doing it? And so, like, but yeah, I agree with you, because when you say it like that, yeah, it's just like this. It's liberating to admit that you don't know.
It's so
And that's
liberating.
yeah, and then trying new things, like, like trying, like, I've never done cocaine, but like
Me
trying, like, there's honestly, there's like, you can admit me, but I don't think there's anything wrong with trying cocaine at a safe time. Like, if you want to try it, you're doing it. Like, if you do it safely and you like, you don't get addicted to it, and then that could become a problem later on. But like, trying these things that people just frown on, it's like, what do you like? Just trying new things is like, I think that Christianity said no and just blocked off all these options. And cocaine's a bad example, because it's just like mostly that's kind of like a a rough thing. But like, you know what I'm saying?
I do. And that's why I say put the VR goggles on the lady prostitute I was talking about in the avenue.
Yeah.
It's like,
Was she a drug dealer and a prostitute?
I just was making something up.
I mean, she might be doing okay. I'm saying if she's like doing like mostly weed, and
I'm
she's
saying
being
drug
saved with a
abuser.
Oh, she's using.
And
drugs?
this is a made up person.
I'm just saying, like, if she was a prostitute and a drug dealer, and she's she's only doing like weed and like kind of more safe drugs, like, she might be doing the Lord's work, honestly, and she's probably doing okay. Financially, she's doing both of those things.
That's the thing, is that there's
Like-
things to learn. It's like, there's a Tool song that I don't know if you know the band Tool,
Yeah.
but and they had like a start to a song. I think the song was called Drugs, and it's like, do you realize that everything in the world that you like from an artistic standpoint would not have been created because every single person that created the drums and the synthesizers and all this stuff, they were high. At some point in time, they were high. So if you think, so to me, I think a lot of people are just scarred by an experience, and then they write it off, right?
Yeah.
I almost drowned once, so water's bad. Don't go swimming ever. And it's like, I don't know. I talk about, like, I think talking about the coronavirus, like, you still have to live life. Like, at some point, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm not saying it's bad, it's false. You should wear a mask, shouldn't wear a mask. But I'm saying, if you have any thought, like, yes, this is happening, and I guess this is something that I attribute improv to, is yes, this thing is happening, and what's within my control? What's within my experiential control? What can I do or be? How can I behave in these moments that exist? And I think a lot of people are quick to, and guilty myself, is just quick to write things off and write this certain experience off, or put blame to something. And I think for you it was the Christianity and the religion and the bubble that you were in, and you realize once you kind of realize like, oh, that's a bubble. Like there's so many other possibilities to go about it, and there's merit to literally everything, every life's experience.
And not to say that there's like probably statistics to say that like getting into, you know, this thing doesn't turn out well if you really look at it.
What thing?
I mean, like anything, like if, like you could say like percentage of people that smoke weed, like whatever, like some of them could be this, and like statistically, a lot of like cocaine users are this, and statistically, like you're kind of like you're likely, it's likely to kind of be a bad decision, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could look at things and be like.
And I challenge that though.
Yeah.
I do agree, right? Like statistically, somebody who uses X, Y, and Z in these circumstances. But I think it's like how they got there also needs to be into play. It's like, hey, heroin users.
Oh sure, yeah.
Heroin users end up in this way, and it's like, well, how did they get to there? And what about the environment that they're in, and how might that shape that? Because you said, hey, somebody using cocaine in a safe place, but like, because to me, I think there's outliers in everything. Like, hey, this kid grew up with no money in the ghetto, mom was a crackhead, no dad around, and he made it. So to me, statistically, most of the people in those environments will quote unquote fail at a lot. They'll fall into that and they'll do that again, and the cycle will repeat itself. But every so often somebody breaks it. So to me, I look at that as saying, okay, there's an opportunity. What about that example makes a difference, right? So what about don't smoke weed, it will ruin your reputation. You'll never be successful. And I'm like, Joe Rogan, for example, smokes weed on his podcast with Elon Musk. So you're telling me two people, one who's a billionaire, one who's a multimillionaire, who does comedy, who is successful, and you're telling me that's going to ruin me. I call bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So so even statistics, I do agree. And I'm being the opposite side. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, yes, statistically, if I have sex, statistically I might have a child. Versus not having sex at all is probably difficult to have a child.
It
biologically.
It could like, you know, it could throw your life through a loop financially, responsibly, you know, all that stuff. All these things could happen, and I was kind of almost playing devil's advocate of that, because I
was
agree
playing
with,
first, man.
I know, I was playing. I agree with you that you can, like, you just need to be more open-minded about things. But I guess I'm just defending people that have wisdom because of experience. Because you could say like someone like a lot of musicians like that we look up to smoke weed and stuff. I don't smoke anymore, but like I can be creative without doing that, and it took a second. I actually might credit doing it to kind of opening my mind up to that. And so if you're talking about like the word you said, like you when you fell, when I said I left the church, what's the word you used? Liberated. I think because I smoked weed for the first time around that time. I'm not gonna say what if it overlapped or not, but but I did, and I remember the first couple times I like listened to music in a different way, and it opened my mind, and so it was, I would credit to that. But at the same time, I don't think you need it, and I guess I'm just saying, like, if you were to live like the life that would be the most responsible and like taken from like wise, you know, from people that are like play it safe and like here's how you really can just dial in and, you know, be successful and do this, like it could be that, like, I think Joe talks about like how he wouldn't smoke when he was like, if he was a 20-year-old, I wouldn't smoke a lot if I was 20. Like, you just kind of end up being kind of lazy, and you're not really, you don't have a lot of like schedule, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard him say that, and maybe whatever, but like,
I agree.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, but like in this case, like, you know, this might not be a good idea for you, and there's still kind of like a way to dial in life that we have that has been proven to pretty much everybody. And
I gotta pee.
Do it. And so I guess I would say that. Yeah.
I agree to the perspective aspect of saying how it opens your mind, but not having to live in that. Yes.
All right. I'm gonna go through a couple more things. I kind of actually like the idea of going through the things that I would schedule into my week on a weekly basis. I mean, it's something I've been working on, practicing finger warm-ups is something that I want to work in every day or every weekday, probably 5 times a week. It's just something I've seen such a growth in. But there's honestly probably 50 things that I'd like to eventually work in once a week and bring some stability to my life. Another thing would be, I actually really like going on Pinterest and just looking at designs. If you were to compare Pinterest with YouTube, with Google image search, with Instagram even, Pinterest probably has the most. I don't know. I just find shit on there that I don't find anywhere else. Like,
what are we talking about?
I was talking about things I would work into my weekly schedule. To,
nice.
To be creative, but I find like wood designs and images on Pinterest that I can't find anywhere else, and they suggest it to you. Like, I'll go on there and they're like, "Oh, we found something new for wood studio design." I'm like, "Oh, literally, what I spend half my day thinking about. Let me see." And so, like, I'm not gonna copy another woodworker. That's for someone else to do. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I don't like going by plans. There's a lot of people that use plans of other woodworkers and just recreate stuff, and a lot of hobbyists. Even, like you could make a living using the plans of another woodworker and creating that bench. I mean, there's obviously like classic designs of tables and stuff that people just recreate. I'm not really into that. I like making from scratch. I don't even draw out my designs anymore. I know what it looks like in my head, and it's just like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's products that I've created that I'm gonna have to start creating 3D SketchUp files for and dialing it in so that I know when I want to recreate it to a T, I can do it. But for the most part, my woodworking process is based on the idea of just like looking at shit on Pinterest or looking at stuff. And I love traveling, seeing building designs, going to Seattle and seeing the way that their graphic design and the way they promote their shows and posters, the way every time there's a show or there's something to promote, they always put 4 posters all next to each other. So instead of one poster, it's a giant poster of 4 posters in between it. There's things that they do. I think they probably do that in other cities too. But like, and I'm not sure where that style came from. I think it's from New York. But the style of just putting the same picture in a row and just stacking it. But I just that kind of stuff's interesting to me. And so going places, looking at things. A lot of art is just inspired by other art. So, but
I was gonna say, no, that you just brought up some stuff. Even though music, you kind of do take other people's blueprint to learn from and then kind of create.
So
like woodworkers, I like. It'd be great to encourage that because you should go learn from other people. Like, and again, I'm fucking obsessed right now and fixated on just like, I need more perspective, and I'm like, because to me, like, perspective just equals possibility, and it like. Kind of speaking, sometimes I feel like I relate it to like Avengers, and like Tony Stark has this like floating digital thing that he can like touch. It's like a hologram. Have you ever seen a hologram? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's
like I'm saying that
every futuristic movie.
Right, but that's what I do with my brain. That's what I do with my brain when it comes to like woodworking. And stuff. Like no, I do. I see.
No, I mean in real life.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, that would be dope.
Yeah,
but that's. Like, some people just aren't that way. Like, I agree. When I walk into a house, for example, it's like some people walk in a house like, holy, this is shit. Like, they don't see any potential. And to me, I like visually see like removing walls and like so that like use that hologram like from Tony Stark is to kind of say that. So anyways, I kind of went off on La 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 Land, but anyways, Pinterest.
Yeah. Well, I'll move from Pinterest because that's just number 3 on my weekly routines. Make sure you go through Pinterest and save a couple things. Just get those images.
What else is on the list? Because I'm actually now curious because
we'll keep going, man.
No, I do kind of actually want to keep going, and I think there's some value there because for me, I try to justify my behaviors, but unlike some of the things is like I'm becoming my own artist. Like I'm what is the famous quote from the guy who did the Naked Man? What's the famous Naked Man? Concrete Man. He's like I didn't carve him. I released him, right? Like I uncovered him. I unshackled him. So dramatic, right? But like I feel like that's kind of what I'm discovering who I am and my creativity, and I'm kind of unleashing that. I get too deep and now I forget about what I was talking about. What was I saying? Oh, the schedule and stuff is like what makes the creative process and what you come through. So it's like when I don't work out, or I don't spend 3 hours learning, or I don't get solitude, like things that you wouldn't think to plan in your day, but actually are so important and vital. Those are kind of like, I feel like I have to justify things. So for example, like I'm saying I should carve out at least 1 hour of solitude a week. Mobile solitude. Yeah. Like at least, and that sounds crazy, like, yeah, dude, but like I don't spend time alone. But I know I'm found out now that, this is such a contributing factor to me being so much more in relationships, so much more for my girlfriend or my kids. Like, I'm so much more at ease when I take one hour, 2 hours of solitude of being outside, or like working out, but not working out to where exhaustion, because then I'm a dick. So I've learned like these things, like it's like, how do I stay fit, push myself a little bit? Like, I don't think being uncomfortable in workouts, I already do kind of naturally. Yeah. I don't need to go to an extreme because that creates a level of exhaustion that I'm an asshole.
Unless you're training to fight or like,
and I'm not.
You're professionally training, pushing yourself to that, like, that 150. But yeah, we're already going 100%. When we work out. That's already, we're already like ingrained to it's like it's not even fun if you don't, like
like playing basketball, right? Like I can't play basketball where we're literally just jogging up and down and
that's why I don't want to guard you, because you push me over the top to where I'm thinking about the rest of the day,
well, then there's a fine line to that.
And you can ask my girl, I come home mad as hell. I mean, and next time I see her, I'm mad as hell, dude. Yeah. And we'll go on record saying there are certain people, if I would know ahead of time if they're gonna be there, I will not go.
Oh, am I one of them?
No. There are people that are too physical. They will just piss me off too much, and it's not even like their thing. Like it's just the way they play. I don't agree with it, but there's the way they play, and if I were to know, then I just wouldn't go. Just because it's not like I'm
some of it's dangerous because it's too wild.
It's dangerous, but it's also like, for me, I'm just gonna I'm so weak and petty that I will just get emotionally involved, and it's not even worth it. It's not even their fault, but I mean, kind of fuck them, but like,
that's a good self-awareness.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, it's not them, it's just you. It's like, I'm not gonna subject myself to it.
It's really just that, because I can't handle it, and like other people. Like, I forget, there was one guy that we were, and then, I forget his name, the bald dude, but he went after him. Do you remember that time when they had the one-on-one? Who's the bald dude that,
well, I'm sitting across from a bald dude.
No, right, the bald dude that started playing, about halfway through when I went,
I'm drawing a blank.
He's a baller. Anyways, but
oh, he's good?
Yeah, he's good, and he's
tall.
He's taller than me. Anyways, I feel bad I don't know his name, but anyways, there was a guy that just pretty much always fouls you, touching you up, and he's not that good, but he's touching you up all the time. I don't even think he's on our front group. I think he goes to the Y. But the guy, they started talking trash and they started going after each other and battling.
Oh, really?
And they started trading shots, and I would just give him the ball. I would feed him. Maybe you weren't there,
I
I would feed him the ball every possession because I knew that they were going at it, and it was a whole thing. And dude, I mean, and it actually was that I was guarding the guy, and then I was like, dude, you get him. I don't even want to mess with this. And he got.
Who was he one-on-one with?
The dude that we don't know was one-on-one with the dude that we do know. And I don't know his name. He's bald. He's got a beard.
Both of them were bald?
No.
Who's the guy we do know?
I don't know his name.
What's he look like? I'm trying to figure
He's
this out.
bald. He's really nice. He was there when we played on the Saturday morning a couple months ago or a week ago. He talks a lot. Like he'll talk some trash and he's vocal.
Bro, you're gonna have to show me.
Yeah, so we didn't play with him because I think you guys played a separate game. But anyways, it was just funny because I was avoiding the conversation because dude, I don't I mean, I already know I could school you, but for the fact that you're gonna touch me up and you're just gonna make me mad. It's just not even worth my time.
I have to manage that sometimes because I do enjoy playing with the group we play, and there are times I'll go play on different times with a group of people that are play way different.
Oh yeah, it could be even worse.
And so
yeah.
I tone back on some just because I do know that it's kind of like you watching the movie with your girl. It's like you tone back a little bit because you enjoy you're willing to do that for the party that you're involved with, and I tone back a little bit of that because of the party I'm with. I enjoy playing with that group. It's competitive enough. They allow me my shenanigans enough to kind of be a little wild and crazy, but I don't want to take advantage of the people doing that. So I like to play aggressive. I like to play by aggressive and physical. I actually mean touching, and I like that.
You've never bothered me. That's the thing. I know that you play physical, but there's a different level of when you're on D with someone and you're touching their arms, you're touching their body, and you're not backing them down. You're dribbling the ball. That's a foul, factually. But I mean, I probably do it sometimes too. But but when you're playing that like that all the time, the whole time, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. We're not doing this. We're having fun. Body me up when we're doing a rebound, when you're backing me down, when I'm getting in the paint, do that. But from a point guard standpoint, I'm just I'm not in the mood for this, dude. We're not in the finals of the NBA.
Oh, sometimes in my mind, I'm totally there.
But I get it. And if you're in that moment and it's the last play of the game, I'll be touching you up the whole time and put the pressure on. But dude, if I know and I'll get hit in the head. This guy fucking slapped me in the head one time, elbowed me in the chest. There's all this shit because you've got to control your body. When you're just fucking. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. I get mad. I'll be I won't even want to come back the next week because and there's a few guys that are like this and you could tell they haven't actually played in an organized high school league because they're used to playing on the street basketball.
So that's what I was saying is and I think one thing as we kind of transition is one of the things. Well, that's fine.
Let's get out of this.
Well, one of the things about I think my style of play, and one thing that I've accepted is and I kind of do this outside of basketball too. Is just I take ownership that I probably foul, and I don't call fouls.
Oh, me too. Yeah,
But I don't call fouls. But even more so, I'm twice as aggressive. You can foul the shit out of me, and I just don't call it. I don't call fouls on if I have the ball, I'm on offense, and somebody fouls me, I just don't call it. I remember one game I was playing on a Sunday with a bunch of the people, you have to call the foul. We're gonna literally. He got so pissed because it was 3 possessions, and I just got hammered, and I don't know. I think it was just from what was it, Longest Yard? I watched the movie Longest Yard once, Adam Sandler just took a punch in the face by Mike Irving, and I don't know, that just kind of stuck with me. I was like, there was a level of respect there that's like, one, this game doesn't mean more. It obviously means more to you because you're willing to go to that level than it does me. So I don't care to call the like that's on you. Like it's not on me. Like everyone here, all 10 guys know that you're fouling me. I don't have to call it on you. You're playing this. So this obviously means something to you that it doesn't mean to me. And so I just kind of go with it a little bit. I think there's obviously like I have to call a foul, but
I think that it's good to kind of figure out where you are with the group, because I think at our core we're all level-headed enough to like all kind of call a foul. But there are times where it's like I'll call a tacky foul on one of those guys all the time. I obviously can't foul,
especially somebody who already calls tacky fouls on somebody else.
Right, but I can't call it if I'm dribbling. But if I shoot and that person touches me at all, like I'll call it, because it's just like, dude, I'll be petty as hell. Just because that's the only control I have over them to make them realize that they're doing that. And you know, and
I guess there's some level of it's like, hey, I'm setting the standard that you can't mess with me. Some people I don't play with some people. I observe, like I usually lose the first game I play a little bit, maybe because I am observing how people play, because I don't want somebody to undercut me. I don't want to be somebody who goes too aggressive and I go for a lay-in and they're trying to fucking hack you, because like, so I try to play like a little bit smarter there. Let's get back on topic with this like 50 things though, because maybe I'm just like getting validity through you, but it's like actually taking time scheduling things like I feel like I have to explain to my parents, and sometimes even relationships I've been in or friend groups, and sometimes they're like, you don't need to explain this to me, but sometimes I feel like I have to justify why I do certain things. Like, well, how are you going to monetize the podcast? I'm not going to monetize the podcast, and I don't need to. I'll just figure it out. Like, and if I do, I do. But the thing is like getting through that initial like piercing through that. I'm thinking of birth, but piercing through a little bit to say like, I don't know, but this is something I have to do. Like you kind of talked about, I don't know why I do the things I do. I don't know why I have the outlook I do, or why I'm stopped believing. And I don't. The liberating feels like I don't have to justify it. That's just who I am. It's like literally it's in my existence. I don't have words for it. I don't have justification for it. I just have to do it. But things like I said, is like as I'm running my this company, and I'm building a team and stuff. It's like being transparent with like what my work actually is, and your work is actually like, some people would say, why would you get up and practice piano? Like go get a real job. Right? Like, how does that really help you? But to you, it's like, actually, no, I can trace this back to how I get paid and how I make money, because having that skill set allows the creativity to expand upon something that I can then not control the crowd, but enthrall them or excite them in a way. And so, like, those mundane things that you don't think about, like the solitude that I do, the reading, like, those actually are, like, I had to flip in my mind, those are actually... I get paid to do that. I don't know, not directly. Someone's not saying, here's your $100 bill for practicing today. But you, like, for me, I had to, and I guess it's wrapping around money, it's like I had to do that. So I'm curious to know more of what you do, because I think, one, it'll expand my perspective, and then anybody who's listening to this specific part might get some value from hearing that from you. Because you are a paid musician. You make a living making music.
Well, no, but I don't.
Well, you're a DJ.
Yeah, so not technically.
Not technically a DJ. You don't have your badge.
So no, I make my living DJing and making it wood, making things out of wood. I
earn money though doing it.
If you look at like gross income with the music, I'm probably behind like 10 grand or something, as far as the money I've made and the time, and if you count time, I'm probably like 50 grand in. But like I'm not making a profit making music, but I'm making a profit make DJing and making.
I challenge the shit. I challenge the shit out of that.
Well, yeah, I guess making music helps me be a DJ better. But if I try to separate things into DJing, making music, my studio, and then woodworking. Those are the three things that I've really focused on. They all relate to each other because I make furniture for studios, and they're all surrounded by this fact that I make music, and I'm a talented music producer, and I know my shit when it comes to how you work in the studio. So now I know what I need to make for the studio. But there are all these things. It's almost like I had a previous job as a music producer, and now my job is DJing and woodworking, but I'm using all of the stuff I learned from being a music producer to make these things better. But I still love making music, but I don't specifically set aside like, you know, a day or two a week to make music because I'm gonna make money off of it. I don't.
Yeah, so I think what I think I hear from you is like, and maybe I jumped the gun saying, hey, you're a paid musician.
Oh no, sure, yeah.
But I think what I'm saying is through your art, you are a paid artist. That would be more generalizing, right?
Yeah.
You are a paid artist for art, whether it is furniture, whether it is DJ, or whether it is direct music, because you do have music on iTunes, and I listen to it, and every time I listen to it, I can feel joy from the music, but I can also feel joy because you're getting some sort of penny on the dollar for the music. So it's a contributing factor. But but that's not just like, I have to make music to make money. What I'm saying is like, there are other things like, yes, woodworking contributes to my music and understanding how to work with my hands and having some dexterity, and I could be just way off here, I'm just throwing things that come to my head, but like, for example, for me, what I'm understanding is like, oh, playing basketball actually does help me become a better person in relationships. Like looking at how am I investing looking at action as investment. Like to me, that's why I argue and I challenge that, because you might have lost 50 grand in music, but like, you're 50 grand invested with 5,000 hours invested, and like
make that 50,000
50,000 hours that like at some point that turns a profit. It's literally like, oh, I've got $10 that I can put in a week in the stock market or as investment, right? And then 10 the next week and 10 the next weeks, and you're like, oh, I'm never putting anything in, and then all of a sudden you look at your portfolio, and I'm not a stock guy, don't take my advice for this, but 7 years your money doubles, and like you know, so like I guess maybe looking at the things that you're doing are actual investments. I guess what I'm telling you, Isaac, is just validate me right now, and the fact that going out and taking time for myself is valuable, and I don't have to justify it anymore. This is a therapy session. We're on the couch, damn it.
Yeah, justifying doing the things that you love and you're passionate about is
it's an issue for some people.
So interesting. I'm gonna go to the bathroom again, but I'm gonna hold my thought.
We're gonna have so many room for sponsored ads.
I know. Yeah, you could even do like a silent one if you wanted to, or you can.
What's the app? Calm, the Calm app, where you have to take 15 seconds for yourself.
I almost wish I could. Yeah, I don't know. If I would have thought this out, I could have like done something for you to mess with, but
I don't have it. I don't have anything. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in already and this long. This is a monumental moment for a couple reasons. One is it's the first in-person podcast that the Cale Marker podcast has ever experienced. So thank you for sticking with us. I really feel like this is what I like to do, and so do what you like to do. Second, it's monumental because it's now the longest podcast episode I've ever done, and so I appreciate you guys hanging in with me here. And if you're at all tuning into this part, this is sponsored by Pure Aqua Bellevue Lime. It's not, actually. So a reminder for those of you who are tuning in at this point in time, who skipped through, who's still listening, I want a quick reminder that if you really want to get into the tight-knit community and you really want to connect with me, please go to my Instagram page. So it's Cale J Marker, at Cale J Marker. I have TikTok, so I put some things out on TikTok. You can follow me there. But it would really mean the most to me if you just share this with somebody. Let them know that you found some value in this, that whether you laughed once, you cried twice, you noticed how incredibly beautiful Isicle DJ Isaac is. Just share this with your friends. It'd mean the world to the both of us that you do that, and just kind of spread the good word here. I guess this is one way that you can support this in this good times is to, like I said, go to calemarkerpodcast.com. Just type in your email. That's actually good support. Sharing this is good support. From a monetary value, you can go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/calemarker. Just little ways, little nuggets that obviously you tune it in with your time, so I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Keeps me motivated, and appreciate that. So without further ado, that was our second ad roll.
Okay, so
Took my pillow.
yeah, your crotch pillow.
Crotch pillow. It's super helpful.
Just one of these. Yeah, so
Oh my god. Now I have to put in the nudity part. Nudity part. Jeez.
Dude, I've thought about just doing like a video every week of just me making music naked and just putting the fucking new thing on.
You can have a my fans only page or fans only page.
Dude, but yeah, no one wants to see that, but
I don't know.
My
man.
thought, the only
I'm
thing
checking
is
my finances right now.
No, the only thing I would have to do is I would have to have the raw footage somewhere, which I don't want to have. Someone open up my hard drive and be like, what's this folder? And it's just like my limp dick, just bouncing around while I'm grooving with the. So, anyways,
I
might
if you are listening to this
just-
podcast at this point in time, you don't follow him on Instagram, you need to, and you need to reach out to him and say, I want that.
Yeah, no homo. I want that.
I just want that.
Yeah. So, anyways, crap.
What'd you forget, man? Hey,
What were we talking about?
you got a piece of art in your. You gave me an inspiration. So while I was peeing, you have a piece of art hanging right above your toilet, and it's just some fine lines with some painting. And I looked at it, I'm like, maybe that's unfinished. And then you talked about a few ideas that you kind of let marinate in your head. And I'm the same way. I feel like my creative business ideas, my creative jokes that I'm writing. Yes, I write jokes, people. Just came out. I put on my Instagram yesterday or 2 days ago.
Oh, you did?
That I'm a closet comedian.
Nice. Wait, you stole that from me.
Why? How did I do
No,
that? Did you say that last time?
No, I didn't. Okay, no, I didn't say closet comedian, but yeah, no, I'm not saying you stole it, but we did talk about this last time.
Yeah, we did, and
we're kind of just writing jokes in the back.
Yeah, we
No.
we
You
definitely
also
had-
said that you were, so I'm not saying you stole it from me, but
I
yeah.
usually go back and write some of those. I have some jokes from probably a few years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's awesome.
I write jokes. I don't know why I brought it, but just like I looked at the painting, I'm like, that's the whole point. Is getting ideas out and leaving them. Like artists are really good at that. They don't necessarily like, I'm building this project and this project is done.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, actually, I think I want to tweak that now.
Yeah.
And then they just put it back on the wall or the shelf and so I was kind of thinking about that.
The story behind that piece is interesting because it looking back, it actually feels a little bit wrong that I did this, but she's my friend, so it's okay. But I mean, I don't know. I've talked to her about it, but my friend Sam Lober did that, and she left it in another painting at an art show that I was DJing, and I was coming the next day to help clean up, and it was all laying around, and I knew it was her because she had made it, and she did it all live at the art festival. It was just like a little thing at Front Street it was like a Midwest Movement art show, and she left them both behind, and basically at that point it was just like, it wasn't trash to me, but it was just trash that they were going to throw away. So I took it and brought it here. I've had 2 pieces from her since then. I've told her, I was like, I still have those pieces if you want them, but if you don't want them, I'm going to keep them.
I need to get in your garage and do some art.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that self-invitation
Okay.
out there. I have a few pieces of art that need to get out of me.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's kind of, I don't really know how it looks, but I want to do a little bit more art like such. This thing up here, I have another one back here. I don't know if you can see that in the view, but there's another one back there, and I mean, this is like a piece. I tend to like, when I create an art piece, I tend to figure out how to like create it so that like more people can get it. So like I'll make another one. So now I know like if I have piano keys, I can make another one of these, and it kind of creates, maybe makes it look be not as worth as much money or like decrease the value, but I know how to make it. It's not like this diamond in the rough. Like it's cool to me, and like the idea is cool, but to me it's just like I know how to recreate that idea. And of course, like the way like the piano keys are positioned is going to be totally different every time. But
I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
I love it,
But if someone were to copy this and do it themselves, I'd be kind of upset. But you know, it is what it is.
Maybe
but,
you copied somebody though. You think somebody else hasn't done that yet? Would we ever know?
Maybe.
We don't know.
Yeah. I've definitely seen things like it, but it was definitely one of those things where I did it. I didn't think it was gonna look very cool, and then it
looks real cool.
Kind of did, but you know, it is what you. Anyways, we were talking about art, and you want to do stuff. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I want to do some art.
Yeah, we'll would that be fun?
I need to find some time. My entire life have never really spent time alone.
Yeah.
And not only that, I didn't really spend a lot of time without being in a relationship and trying to put all my time and my attention into that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it wasn't present. I wasn't present. I physically was there. And so
right. Yeah. It wasn't the most ideal situation, but you were trying.
Yeah.
Kind of trying.
That's part of like this that I like is like I like just hanging out with other people, like dudes. Like I didn't have guy friends. I was that what's the movie I Love You Man? You ever seen I Love You Man? It's funny. I was like Paul Rudd in that, man. I was always about relationships, and he's like, I remember specifically the scene he's talking about. He's walking out with some milkshake. He's like, I gotta get some fucking friends, and like I don't have a problem making friends or being social. I wouldn't even call it a problem. My realization is that I didn't make time for that, and because I didn't see how it was really of value. But I'm like, gosh, not chasing relationship and chasing girls, because I would be in relationships chasing them, and it's like, God, dude, it's like everyone's learning how fucked up I am in this podcast. By the way, they're like, dude, do you ever stop thinking? No, the answer is no. I don't ever stop thinking. It's nonstop. You should be in my dreams because they're still vivid and real. So, are you yawning?
Dude, I'm so sorry.
You just yawned
twice in a row. You're talking about relationships.
Like, God, move
on.
Like
no, I need more coffee, I think. I guess.
More coffee.
Dude, I just want to say, I'm enjoying this a lot, and part of me kind of is like, should we be doing this? Am I allowed to do this? This is awesome. Like, awesome. Just hanging out. And also just because, you said this is your first in person, and I haven't just sat down and talked to people in a while.
It's important, man. Yeah. And like, should I be doing this? Like, well, should I be creating SpaceX? Or like, I don't know, man. Like at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I've been reflecting, like, even in my teen years, I would spend 8, 10, 12 hours playing video games on a Saturday because I wasn't allowed to play them until Saturday, and I played them all. And it's like, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, it's like I'm gonna be 40 one day, or I won't, and like, this is okay. This is what I want to be doing right now. Like, I can figure it out, and like, I'm learning that. Like, I am a dad, dude. I have 2 children. I'm divorced, and like, shouldn't you be at home? Like, I don't know. They're not around. They're at their mom. So what do I do?
Yeah, dude, you don't. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with it, and that's why we need to, tell each other this, because it is not a problem.
And at this point, like, if somebody is watching, it's almost been 2.5 hours of a podcast. And the thing is, if somebody's watching at this point, like, fucking cool, right? Really cool. Like, thank you for tuning in. Like, thank you for being here, taking out of anything else that you could be doing in the world. Like, they're tuning in. So, and at the certain threshold, you're like maybe the first 15 minutes, like, you've got to be on fire, and you've got to have, like, you have this shit together and adding value. But at the end of the day, it's like, you have permission to do this. You have permission to be around other people, around the campfire, if you will, around the coffee table, and just have a real conversation. And again, I go back to the Rogan podcast. Like, why is he so popular? Is because he's like at some point there's a business aspect to it, right? Because why put it on TV? Why put it on YouTube? Why, you know, to build an audience? But on the other aspect is like, it's like just recording because you are having these conversations that you would have. I kick myself because I'm like, dude, like I wish I had been recording all along, like documenting all along. I think it's just so many conversations that I've had that have been incredible and awesome. Can I trake over this place as my new podcast studio? I'll just go like walk in the front door. Hey Isaac, you got to get out, bro. Sorry, I know you're making a living right now, but I got a podcast to do. So
you can record a podcast here if you want.
I'm just bringing all my friends here.
Yeah, no, that'd be fun. Do you want some coffee?
Yeah, dude.
You want some more coffee?
I want some more coffee. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, maybe we should keep it to like, we could go over a couple more things that might fit in my week if you want, and then we can wrap it up when you
feel ready. Do you think we're there?
Yeah.
You think we're there?
I'm enjoying it.
If you don't have it, dude, don't worry about it. I'm not offended.
Do you like cold brew?
I like cold brew.
Okay. I'm gonna give you a little bit, and if you like it,
that's perfect.
Then no, seriously, just like pour a whole glass. It's
Is this from Aldi's?
Yeah, it's like technically I've seen it at Walmart and stuff.
Okay.
I'm hit or miss with it. I mix it with lemonade. They did that. They did that at Table 33. Me and my girlfriend got hooked with that.
Makes sense. Appreciate that.
But
I guess I have to contribute to the fridge then at least, right? Like, you can't run your podcast here and not contribute to.
What do you mean?
To the fridge. Like, you got to bring your own coffee. Like,
me. No,
what I'm saying is like I said, it's like, hey man, I'm here. Thanks for the sandwich.
No,
you're out of deli meat, bro.
Dude, no, you can. Yeah, no, I get it. No, but no, like it's Aldi. You can have it.
It's all you can have.
No, I enjoy feeding and.
Do you do apparel and stuff? Do you have merch? Do you do that?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? I struggle to figure out where the balance is of like where money crosses morality, not like ethically, like having T-shirts and stuff. It's like part of it just I don't know, man.
Wait.
I'm expanding on a
unpack that. Why? What does that have to do with morality?
I don't know if morality is the right word. It's like like specifically doing things for money.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely. I mean, a lot of bands, touring musicians make a lot of their money off of merch, and you can see it with the prices. Like selling a sweatshirt for $50. Like, yeah, you don't have to sell it that much, but like, yeah, this is how we make money. We don't, especially with like streaming and all that stuff. Like, yeah. No, it's a way to support, and a good way to support someone. And I like this T-shirt, but also I like this band, and I relate to them, and so I think that, and we were talking about supporting. I think that it's a way to support someone, and show that you like them, show that you care about them. So no, I love that you have T-shirts, and I think I just think it's a really expensive endeavor. I think it's really hard to do because if you're gonna get all the right sizes, and I mean for me, and ideally I'd have like 2 T-shirts if I release the brand, so people can be like, oh, I like this one, but I don't like this one. Right. And it's just like I like to go big in that way. But if you're dropping $1,000 at least on 2 T-shirt designs and what are these
little fruit bites? Ooh, it's just dates.
Ideally you're dropping that much on that, and so just like a lot of money to invest, and then you have a bunch of smalls, no one bought small, probably everyone bought smalls.
So do you think those are distractions? That would be a question I have. Is it more distracting to do that than to, one of the things that pisses me off, not pisses me off in a bad way, just irritates me because it's not what I am or who I am, but like for you and Nicole, for example, who's a photographer, she can go get a wedding for $3,000, $4,000, right? And she's doing her thing and taking photos. I don't have that thing.
No.
And that to me is weird. It's like, what is that thing that I can go do for people, like taking photos? Like, should I just be a fucking photographer? Because I think for you, like you can get $2,000-$3,000 for an event, and I think even more. Like honestly, like I'm sure you probably are. There are probably events. Yeah. There are like maybe you only market to Jewish people in New York who have a shit ton of money, right? Yeah. And it's $10,000 for you, and you do 12 of those a year, and like now you just made a lot more money,
right?
And so like to me, it's like maybe selling merch is a waste of your time in comparison, but it's like but then how do you meet the people who don't have a $10,000 budget and have them have some sort of impact into like, so it's kind of, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, how do you create opportunities for people to support you in doing the things that you're doing while creating value for them? And sometimes I feel like, and then knowing what is a distraction and what is not.
Dude, I'll take anything personally. I think t-shirts are a good way, and you can support another business.
There's definitely drop shipping, by the way, for t-shirts. Where drop shipping where you don't have to do basically print on demand. So just by the way, so you don't have to carry inventory.
Costs so much money. Yeah, but yeah, sometimes
sort of.
Yeah, we could talk about the financials, but yeah, I ordered a couple different styles of t-shirts from t-shirt company years ago, and now I just print them myself and do my own screen printing, which is a little DIY, and it's limiting to what I can do, but that's what I've been doing for now to kind of like give people a physical thing they can remember. And I just pick up, I just use reclaimed shirts, just get shirts that seem in good shape from a thrift store and just print on those. And that way, you go to Salvation Army, you go on half off, you just pick up a shirt for 50 cents. And then, and then you get all these different colors, and then you just get creative. And they're printing on these shirts, and then I haven't really advertised them in a while, but I still have them, and it's just one of those things that like I could put out as an extra. And when I played Sound Valley before the quarantine, a lot of people bought my shirts, and they're like, oh my gosh, like these are really cool. And like all my friends were like, I didn't even know you had shirts. And so it's just like one of those things I'll pull out. But ideally, if I had a little bit more money and a little more of a following, I know that I could, order 100 shirts and sell out of them in a couple of months. And I would be comfortable doing something like that. Absolutely. Like I was saying, I feel comfortable selling pretty much anything as long as I know that people want it. I just don't like trying things out and seeing if people want something. And I don't like putting myself out there in that way financially. I like to put out something for free first, give people a bunch of stickers first, and see how much they like them and stuff. And if I see that a bunch of people like my stickers and they're asking for them, then I might sell them. But for me, I needed a demand to know that I want something. And I know that people buy shirts. I mean, personally, I also tend to do things that I'm really into. Personally, I'd much rather spend $40 on a crew neck than spend $20 on a t-shirt, because I'm wearing that crew neck a couple times a week. The t-shirt, may have a long life if you only wear it every couple of weeks, but it's just like most of the time you're gonna have a thing over it. Sometimes you won't even be able to see it. And then also graphic tees. Graphic tees are cool, but like if I'm playing a show, I probably won't wear a graphic tee because it's kind of distracting. So graphic tees have their own place. Like I'll play basketball in a graphic tee, I'll sleep in a graphic tee, I'll hang out, go hiking in a graphic tee, But like there's also like things, and these are all my personal style opinions.
I'm listening.
But basically, I would rather put out a crew neck because that's what I would buy.
Yeah, scratching your own itch.
Yeah. So basically, and that's also how I collect music gear. I collect gear that I would use just in case that I want it, but I could resell it if I wanted to. But I tend to live life by that. Like people have said, like you should make, like I for a local business, I make these stools for her, and they're like vaginal steaming stools. So you put like a little pot, and it like steams herbs up into. Yep, up in that cooch, and I can't take myself serious saying that. But anyway, so I make these for her. It's Bubble Love Organics that opened up in Bridget's spot, Laura's spot. So she's taking over that space. But anyways, I make stuff for her, and I'm not gonna make that and sell it. Like I sell them to her so that she can sell them, and that's not my thing. Like I'll make it for someone else, but I'm not gonna sell that. And I could go on Etsy and probably make a lot of money just selling those to people, but I just not really. Yeah, I'm not trying to do that because I don't even know that much about it. Like, what I told you is the extent of what I know about it. Not really interested to know that much more about it either. So it's like, but that just happens to be a really funny example because it's just like of the most like weird thing. I'll show me making them on Instagram and be like, what is that? Like, I'm like, tell them what it is. Like, I did not expect that. So, but. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool thing, but yeah, for me, I try to scratch my own itch on what I make and what I provide for people. Yeah, same with DJing. Like, I play what I like making. I don't like playing music that I don't like.
Here's the question. How do I get the experience of you DJing a wedding when I'm not invited to any of these weddings? Like, to me, like, I do. I think that's a gap because, like...
It's weird. Yeah.
Because for you... Like, yeah, the normal DJ who's literally doing something, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about a professional DJ, somebody who, not a professional DJ, because it says it on the side of your trailer. We're talking about a professional who takes it serious and, like, has a room like you do, right? Like, that experience, I feel like you almost want to sell tickets to that experience because it's like, I think that would be a fun experience. And I don't know because I haven't experienced it, but I just knowing you enough. Yeah. And then I have seen you perform at certain places and have been around your DJing style, but I feel like...
But that's not what I play at weddings. I mean, it's a mixture of that style, but I play when I get to play, for basically nothing, which is, compared to weddings, anytime I play anywhere else, it's basically nothing. You can make $100, $200, it's not anything compared to a wedding. And I'm going to sell out and play some top 40 that I like, but stuff that you'll hear on the radio every once in a while. When I play for no money or little money, I'm gonna play.
You're playing
my new stuff, and not my stuff.
You're testing it out.
Yeah, I'm testing out weird house stuff, and it's stuff I like, but it's stuff that I like, and probably no one else has heard of. But for the most part, like, you want to play what people know at weddings. You want to play what people are familiar. Are there any concerts going
on right now in Dayton? Because I feel like I hear
Dave Chappelle is throwing concerts.
So what about, like, seriously, like, can we rent on a Tuesday night the drive-in theater and, like, orchestrate a actual, like, drive-in concert? Like, I just feel like
I'm not sure what they're doing over there at Dixie. I imagine it's a lot of money. I don't have enough going on to, first of all, put time into scheduling that. If someone were to ask me, I've done live streams and stuff. But I mean, yes and no. I'm maybe doing some pop-up parking lot stuff soon. But yeah, I've been really itching to play some Latin music because I know that there's so many like salsa and bachata dancers around the area that are just itching to get out. And I've been thinking about doing an outdoor event for that because that's one of those things that you're like used to going out. And I think that therapy's open and there's places that are open, but I don't know how that works. I don't know how you're going to be socially distant. So I've been thinking about maybe, therapy cafes open. Like there are places that open. I honestly haven't.
That's still small.
Yeah, I just feel like it's my size.
Man.
I'm not gonna get. I can't pack therapy at all. I mean, so like. When you say that, like,
am I the only fan in Dayton of you, man?
Oh yeah,
Jesus, dude. Like, no. I play you in the car. I'm like, I don't give a shit what you think back there. I like this guy.
No, I mean, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But getting back to the wedding, like, how can I get that? The simple answer would be like, WO Rights or like a bar would, you know, hire me for like a top 40 night or like a, dude, they had to pay me a lot of money.
It's just not the culture here, because I think,
Yeah.
like, if I don't know that you could be, I don't know, and I don't mean this in any way, I just don't know. I don't know that you could be a Vegas DJ at the moment, right? I don't know anything about that. I don't know it well enough, but there is this vision in my head. It's like, this guy has the makings of all of this stuff. I feel like he's in a wrong location, because I don't think that you as an artist are appreciated in a town like Dayton. And I don't know if I'm way off here. I don't know if I'm totally out of the game, and that's probably putting a lot of pressure on you in some aspects, but I do feel like, I'm like, when I listen to, like, you have your own style, you're unique, you're creative, you're different, you're not offending people, you're not derogatory, you're fun, you're lighthearted, you're versatile.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why can't this guy pack a drive-in and have a good time? Like, I don't know if it's just the culture. I don't know if maybe it's the cold brew, maybe I'm just like way...
No, I mean, there's definitely things that I could work on to get to that point. There's, but, you know, yeah, if you were to, like, put me up next to, like, a Vegas DJ, like, yeah, it would probably be pretty comparable. But it is what it is. Like,
Are we ready to move? Are we moving?
No, because it's here. Yeah, I know, because it's like it's not the same and I haven't moved somewhere else and lived somewhere else, but I've thought about it a lot. But like, you're paying a lot more for rent, and I wouldn't have learned and just been able to stay up all night and just like be in this weird like fun house that I'm in right now if I lived somewhere else. I would be up against a lot of people, and I'm not gonna say like I'm that special compared to a ton of people out in LA doing their thing. Like, I happen to be special here, but like, dude, there's a lot of talented kids, because I know that what I have access to is the same thing that everyone else has access to. I think that I do it in a certain way. I think that I am like good, but like I just know, because I've met people like there's a lot of people doing what I'm doing, but I think
amount of people than you think.
Right, but the only reason that I think I'm special is because I live here, and I can be good at all these things. I get to spend all my day focusing on this stuff. I think, maybe this is wrong. Maybe I would grow better in LA, but like, personally, I think that it would slow my growth, because I would be focused on all the other shit going on there. Going to parties, going to and this is the other thing, being in the music business, you had to kiss a lot of asses, and it's networking and all this stuff that I just don't want to do. And instead of all this time putting your finances into it, putting your time into it, having another job, having all these connections, submitting to websites, having a manager, doing all this stuff, I get to spend all that time and put it back into making art. And yeah, I mean, maybe being in another place, I'd be inspired and get all these new ideas, but like, I got enough ideas. Like, I think I love it here. Like, and I think that's a realization that I've had over the last year or so. And I don't have the ideal music career. Like I said, I don't make money doing music, but I mean, I know a ton of people that moved out to LA. There's artists here in Dayton that are signed that have songs with top hip hop artists, and I know them, and they had to do a lot, and they go through a lot to do that.
And you're doing your thing.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that like, if I just I know the strategy. If I just did this, I could totally be there, and I'm not saying that if I did, I would.
I know the strategy to become a doctor. I just got to go to school.
Right. I'm not saying
don't want to.
Right. I'm not saying that I could do it. I'm just saying, like, I've specifically chosen not to do that.
I'm just
because I love it right here.
Yeah. I look at you from a talent standpoint, and what I don't know. I don't think I'm bullshitting here. I think you're talented. Like, when I listen to other people, and the versatility and the expertise, like, I feel fortunate enough to have been around some people who I think are really talented from an artistic and musicianship standpoint, I guess is the word. But I guess maybe even for you, like even market, maybe live here, but like, and again, I'm almost pushing something on you, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm more curious. It's like,
you're just.
I was kind of shitting around or joking around. It's like, go do bar mitzvahs for 10 grand because I think you could charge that. Here, I don't think the fan base here appreciates you much.
Yeah, the market.
That's what I meant.
The DJ market, and that's why you've said travel. For your destination weddings, I'm not gonna make. I mean, I just had a wedding the other day, and they gave me their budget. When I have a quote on my website, you can fill out the date of your event and what's on your budget, because I want to know. Like I have so many friends that ask me to do their wedding, and they,
$200.
Yeah, and so
don't
they want, but I'll tell them mine, and then sometimes I'll be like, here, let's meet in the middle. And I sent someone a contract last night for way less than I would want to get for a wedding. But to me, I've done other people's and their families' weddings, and it's just like.
Sometimes a bird in the hand is as good as a bird in the bush, or whatever it is. Meaning, like, sometimes having a wedding and doing it and like humbling yourself is a benefit to do it than to not do it sometimes.
Yeah. This one's in October, and I don't think I'm gonna get a ton more bookings for this year. And so, but yeah, so I that's a business decision you make. I mean, I could be charging $2,000, $1,500 for weddings in Columbus easily, and I'm pretty much good enough to.
Are you, or aren't you, man?
Pretty much. I just can't say whether I am, because I actually haven't done it. But yeah,
that's what I'm curious. Yeah. Like, okay, let's pick a place that has. Let's just pick a pocket, right? Like Nashville's probably not the place. Maybe, I don't know. But like, let's just pick like some place in Connecticut outside of New York.
Yeah. Oh,
right. Jersey.
Denver's a good spot. Has a lot of like new wave, EDM. I could do there a lot of funky stuff.
But like to me, it's like if you could market out. That's the only thing is people just don't know about you out there. But it almost be even more frictionless because you have to do like when I ran my CrossFit gym. I just feel like I'm doing this all the time. When I ran my CrossFit gym, like when I ran the CrossFit gym, it was like my biggest thing. Like in Cincinnati, running my CrossFit gym, I would have had way different problems. My problems wouldn't have been how do you educate people on what the hell CrossFit is. That was my problem in rural Ohio. My problem was like they didn't actually know what it was.
Oh yeah, I gotta hit people with the house music all the time.
And for you here in Dayton, like, what is that? I don't know that music, right? Like what? I don't understand. They're so behind, right? Like, and a lot, not necessarily in Dayton. Dayton is a little more, but like, but not as much, right? They are still. Most weddings are DJ'd by a.
Yeah, but actually
trailer.
at the same time, you can only learn so much in a lifetime, and I think out in LA and out in these big cities, they know cultural references, but they might still be awful at math. They still might not know the things that we know. Being a Midwestern person, I don't know if math's a good example, but just like you might not like understand like certain things that we get to be good at when we're here. And so
I agree.
And maybe being culturally woke into style and art, it's not as much, but like, getting that like that just like gritty Midwestern like hard work, like 13, 15 hours a day type of thing, like that farmers do, and just like, I think that there's also things here about us that like make us, so like that being behind culturally is not good, but like,
there are 100% aspects of our culture that like, and
I'm just throwing that out. I don't know if that's actually like a good example, but
I think it's a worthy example. Yes, I think about where I grew up in Greenville. They would be later to adopt an iPhone than the city of Dayton, Cincinnati, or LA.
Sure.
Right? So in a sense, the places I mentioned on the
They're
ladder,
still using PayPal.
They're still writing checks.
Yeah, well, I'll take a check.
Yeah, well, you're going to take that money, right? But I do think that like there are early adopters and late adopters, but I don't think that there's that's just one aspect of it, and it's one aspect as far as money goes, right? Like $10,000 to spend on a wedding in New York is a lot for a DJ, is a lot more acceptable than it is here. So not just talking about like people are behind and talking about characteristics and people's virtues and values. It is also just the cost of living and the culture, right? Paying $20 for a lime soda in LA, I make that up maybe. But I mean, like it's more acceptable in some of those places. So you marketed your business, and I'm not trying to be a business consultant to you. I'm just kind of working through. Yeah. Is like, I'm curious to know. I think the value is there on some aspects, and I do think that like you have that talent. What I'm saying, dude, is you do good shit. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I like it because otherwise I wouldn't have you on my podcast.
Yeah. Well, I've been. I did a GoPro video of my last wedding. I actually checked it out the other day, and like me and my girlfriend like listened to the mix the other day, and it's like decent. And so I'm thinking about like giving out mixes to clients after their wedding, maybe like a year anniversary of their wedding, sending them the mix. I don't know how Patreon works, if you can like load files on there and make like files linked for free, or if you can have a video available that has copyrighted music. I'm not sure, but I'd love to release a video of me DJing a wedding with all the copyrighted music. I think that it would be cool to watch that. I think it's really cool to watch me do the work, but there's not right now really a video platform for me to just release a bunch of music that someone else owns on anywhere. So as far as like getting that out to the public, it's hard for me, and so the only way is for you to go to a bar or a wedding and see me play that stuff live, and so that's just kind of where I'm at. But it is
like you may be able to put it on like a landing page behind a login where it's not necessarily more public, but it could be public where, hey, if you want access to this, send me an email or log in your email, and then you send them email and email access to this, and then kind of just a few steps to kind of prevent somebody from just landing on it and doing it.
Right. I'm not sure. And there's definitely like platforms where you can upload mixes.
Sure.
Anyways, it's stuff I've thought about before.
Any parting words?
Yeah.
As we wrap up the podcast?
Yeah, well, I guess for you, this has been really cool.
Thanks, man.
And I wish you luck in your podcast journey.
Thanks.
And I'm glad that you took a stop here. Feel free to bring someone back here if you want, hang out. And for the people out there, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching.
Troopers, straight up troopers.
Yeah. And follow me on Instagram, ISICLE, and go check out his Patreon, see what he's got on there. And that's all I have to say.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here. Everyone at Isicle, go follow him. DJing nude, synthesizing nude, coming live. Probably not. See you later, friends. Bye.